Satanism and wickedness and things of that nature. Anything that is tied to ancient cultures or whatever culture, they're going to demonize it because they're going to utilize it as to access the energy and the power of those source symbols and images, but they're going to turn the masses of the people against it so that the people can't tap into that same thing. But if you notice on the bottom of that emblem, you'll see something that says the Great Seal. Now, the Great Seal is the seal or the emblem of the actual original government of this land. Now, on the other side, you're going to see something that says of the United States, because that's simply what it is, a prepositional phrase. It is of the United States. And the United States is that area of the 10 square miles in Washington, D.C., that is the source of that jurisdiction or that entity, which was designed for commerce and the ability to trade within multiple nations around the world. And it is a commercial entity, which is why it has a banner. We call it the American flag, but we stated earlier how these are the Americas, and that's not a flag, that's a banner. Corporations and businesses have banners or logos. That's why it's called the Star Spangled Banner, because it is a banner. Yet we are part and parcel of that because we agreed to allow for commerce purposes and the establishment of a melting pot. We agreed to allow that, and that's what the symbol actually makes reference to. And the colors of it, the red, white, and blue, are actually part of an indigenous tribe that was already here in this land. So there are a lot of things that are misnomers, and even things like the Confederate flag originally did not start out as this racist symbol that was used, that nor was the swastika. All of these things were ancient symbols that have been hijacked and utilized to discourage the people from actually tapping into the actual original signs of them. Yet they all originated with indigenous cultures from around the world, and they had symbologies and things that were meant to uplift the people and not to create this discourse. So what's going to happen for any minds of people that think that they're racist, that think that they're hateful, and the only way to uplift themselves is to put down on others, especially those that are deemed as the light island of the white race, what they're going to find is that not only are the things that they're clinging to founded and rooted in indigenous people, which they are extensions of, they're going to find that the things that they've been taught, programmed to hate, actually are the very things that were designed and set up to assist them and to free them, right? And so we've been diagnosing the issue improperly. We've been diagnosing it as racism, but what it really is a mental disorder. It's a mental dysfunction that has been implied on the people. So every time, they're walking around expressing this hatred, the only hatred that can ever truly exist is through the dictates of fear or self-hatred. So anytime you think that you hate another, it's really aspects of yourself that you hate that you're just not fully in touch with and aware of. So, Brother Rice, I'm not sure if that fully, I know it doesn't fully tap into the aspects of what your question was, but we do have areas of information that I can send you that can direct you to the realization that the purpose of the movement is to uplift fallen humanity and to make people return to a ancient way of living or way of thinking, which ultimately is wholeness and balance. And it's done so through the tenet of I, self, law, and master, and realizing that each individual has inalienable, unalienable rights that they were born with, which are referred to as your natural rights or your links to nature. And once people start doing the actual quantum physics and metaphysics and things of that nature, you'll see how the human family is a human bouquet of diversity, and they all connected. Yet the social engineering and the research and the information and the stories and the movies and all of the things that have been distributed to the population was designed to keep them divided, to keep them hating one another, so that they could never tap into what's really going on and to realize that everything is amalgamated. That's another term I would encourage everybody to look up amalgamation. And any additional areas you would like for me to tap into, brother, while we're here, definitely let me know. Power up.
Okay, Dr. Bay. I had this question. I said, you know what? This is a great place to ask for when I respect what you say. So I heard somebody mention that looking for or trying to or fighting for reparations of any kind is a bad thing, that is not something that we should do, that it's against God's law, that we should never expect it. What do you feel about it? Now, I know the deepness of I get it. But my point is, if the inorganic ones say, here, take this fiat and do whatever you will, leave us alone, should we not take it?
All right, Mr. Divine Idea. Another absolute great and necessary question. And questions are quests, because we're on the quest to expose the ion or activate the aspects, that we're not aware that we already know. All right, reparations is rooted in the repairing of nations. Reparations is reserved for repairing of nations. And
come on. Go on back, Dr. B. You tripping.
and legality have something to do with one another, but they're totally different. All right. So the people that are referring to themselves as black, there's no black nation anywhere on
The plane.
or the planet or whatever we refer to it as. Right. There's no black land. Right. There's no Negrohood. There's no colored field. There's no Afro City. There's no, and African American was a term that came up in the 80s by Jesse Jackson. And it ties you to two continental masses that one has 50, 54 or 56 nations in it, and the other one has 30 or so. And so all of these things are just distractions and deterrents from the people actually realizing that they must become a nation, which taps you back into nationality. Because if you don't have a nationality, then you don't have a nation. And if you don't have a nation, you're not attached to the natural ions. That's what nation is, or the natural or the natalness that connects you to the land, right? So you're not connected to any geographical location, which means that you're lost at sea. And if you're lost at sea, then you're only subject to admiralty or maritime laws, or laws that deal with the constant expansion and fluctuation of your currency. So you don't have any foundation on land. So anything representative of land cannot represent you. So simply because of the consent to cling to colorable law, you're disconnecting yourself and making yourself non-descendable or not qualified to inherit your natural inheritance, which comes through your nationality. So I know most of the people may disagree with that, because that level of understanding is not something that's properly promoted out here. Yet that's actually what it ties into. And if they give you reparations in the form of fiat currency that comes through a bankrupt corporation known as the United States, then that's only you receiving another debt instrument to utilize to try and resolve debt. And debt cannot cure debt. That only creates perpetual debt. And that's the situation that the United States citizens find themselves in now. They're in a state of perpetual debt. So in actually claiming your nationality, you receive your inherited birthright, or your descendability, and your reconnection to the entire land, which now puts you in a position of realizing that the so-called United States and all of its corporate jurisdictions and entities and corporations all now owe the people tribute. And this is the way you actually repair a nation. You repair a nation through the reclamation of your nationality. You declare your nationality within your mind, within your heart, within your soul. First, that declaration is between you and Source, and your realization that you are a sovereign, inalienable, unalienable being that has rights through your nature, right? And then the proclamation is just putting those entities, those foreign entities, on notice that used to have jurisdiction over your natural living being through contractual agreement, that they no longer have that connection, and you reclaim your power of attorney over your being, called the revocation of power of attorney, and the declaration of name and nationality and things of that nature, right? So you put yourself in position to actually be repaired as a nation. You cannot be repaired as a non-nation, because there is no reparation for non-nation. So we have been coerced to argue and bicker over certain terms and labels and say, well, you know what I mean. Well, unfortunately, in the legal system and in legalese, what you think you mean and what you actually mean may be totally something different. There's a statement that repeat oftentimes intentionally and willfully deceives you is a very, very dangerous person. But a person that deceives you and unknowingly is deceiving you is a more dangerous person. So oftentimes when we receive these regurgitations of reconstructed history, we think that we're speaking things, into life, but we don't even know that we're deceiving the people. So this type of person, is more dangerous to the people because they actually think that they're right. They actually think that they're right and exact. And so when we share this information and we fight and we bicker and we wrestle over these certain terminologies and these wordplay games, that becomes a more detrimental situation than people that are willingly and intentionally deceiving you. So a more dangerous person is a person that doesn't even know or is not aware that they're deceiving. So I trust that taps into the concept of reparations somewhat, beloved, and definitely address it, in different terminologies based off of that. We could probably go deeper or further into it, beloved. Our brother Noble Adams Bay up next.
Ah, man, Islam to that, Islam to that. Yeah, I appreciate that, Dr. Ben. Growth is something it's very interesting and very new, depending on the type of people that you run into and how you develop through your growth. Me personally, I developed to the fact that it's good to care about what people think and how they feel about situations changing and people progressing in their own growth. So I definitely appreciate the words, and I hope my growth do keep growing, and I get out here and I'm having better conversations. I'm having better conversations, but you know what I'm saying? It's I just appreciate the words, man. I keep trying out here.
Honest to that, brother Noble. Honest to that.
Oh, yo, I got a question, because I don't know if people asking questions, but I know you like to talk, and if you catch it in the right moment, you'll talk about everything. So, what do you think is the most common ground of why the movement for the nation, the divine movement, why would be not pushed back 100 years? Because we all know infiltrators stopped the whole movement. We all know what they did to Noble Drew Ali. But like, what do you think would be the common ground on why people really don't want to do it? Not the fear or the oppression type things that we all normally talk about, but like, would it be the fact that not the only fact that it's not taught, but like they don't see how it could actually benefit them, whereas for not really knowing the literature and the knowledge of what's going on in the government side type thing.
Well, Brother Noble, I would probably put that into one term that I express, and that is mirrorology. Mirrorology basically is the study of self, the willingness to tap into yourself and be honest with yourself. It's self-accountability, self-awareness, know thyself, right? And because most people are not willing to really be honest with themselves and say, all right, what is my actual intent? Why do I actually want to know this? Why do I actually want to utilize this? Is it for some type of personal gain, some type of status elevation? Is it for some type of clout? Is it for some type of, reasoning that is not holistic? Is it for some type of reasoning that is not for the betterment and the benefit of all? I mean, what is my real, true reason? So oftentimes when a lot of Moors get into information or they receive certain things, they come up with nefarious ideas or intent behind it, because you have to be mindful that for generations, not just the generation that you've been alive, no one here is over 200 years this life cycle, right? So a lot of these deceptions and reconstructions and researching information has been distributed in a de facto way. And y'all look up that term, look up de facto and look up de jure. In a de facto way that most people have dragged what we call the murky ethers. When you come into awareness, you also drag a lot of your past experiences and things that you've been exposed to. You drag it into your now, right? So when you drag things from your past into your now, they have a tendency to formulate certain ideologies that you try to mix in with the newfound information, and you come up with nefarious plans, even if you don't fully realize or feel that you're doing so. That may be what happens. So this is what causes even more of a division, when ultimately, when you look at it from a holistic perspective, you'll see that all of these different branches or different pieces or aspects can actually go together. They can be formulated into a all-out plan that benefits all of humanity, and that ultimately is the goal of the movie.
So
It's for the upliftment
time
of all
gave me
humanity.
time to
But you
live.
cling and hang on to a lot of the things that are part of your
I think
upbringing
time
or
gave
part
me
of your
time to
environment
die.
prior to now, then oftentimes that leads to this dissension that we experience on a daily basis. So we have to be
Dying ain't
mindful
much of a
virality
living.
of our
And if
intent.
everything
Let
dies
that
on earth,
determine how we move forward.
are we
in the
really
direction that
living
we are
or are we
exposed to.
dying?
And in that
With
way,
every
we can
click of,
actually grow
with every
and not
second, are you getting
degenerate into back into a
stronger
lot of the things that we've already experienced,
or are
so we
you
can grow
losing?
and expand our awareness and create the reality we prefer. So power up to your question, honestly.
Your mic cut out. We didn't hear. Well, I didn't hear nothing for the last 10 seconds or so.
Family, can y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me, y'all clap it up or something, because I definitely don't want to be expending energy and y'all can't even hear me. All right. Honesty out for that. Appreciate it. And family, anything that I was speaking about, if you'll leave another message to tell me what aspects of it you missed, because I'm not sure. I'm trying to keep up with the messages as we go along, but any aspect that you missed, brother, definitely let me know. Family.
So in accordance to what you're saying, Dr. Bay, it would be in our major interest to do this around the world. It's just not for one fraction of people. And forgive me, Dr. Bay and the panel, because I seem to have just be looking out for a certain community that I'm part of. And I don't think, from what Dr. Bay gave me, and I just want to know if I'm correct, I should broaden my horizons because everybody is due this information. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to completely reform this entire lie that has been told.
See Russia invading anytime soon. Much love.
Honest to you, bro, Enzo, and your question. And what I definitely would like to say about that is that the same blueprint that functions here is pretty much the same blueprint that's functioning in all of the so-called countries. Because most things that we refer to or consider to be countries are not actually countries. They're corporate constructs that are all linked to World Bank or the centralized banking systems of the world. And they've all bought in. So a lot of the political entities, if you notice that most of these places that say that they have presidents or say that they have things like that, these are corporate terms. Like country or empires or kingdoms, they have things like sultans or rulers or monarchs and things of that nature. But everything that has things that have corporate identities, they're the same structure. It doesn't really matter what so-called country or area or geographical location you may be in. All of the masses of the people are under the same construct. This blueprint that's going on here in the Americas, misnomered or mislabeled as the United States, is a blueprint type of narrative that's going on throughout the entirety of the world. And so power is the people must be realized in every country, in every area. It must be realized that the consent of the people is the only thing that allows any form of government to function. And the fact that they use the people as collateral, the people realize that, and people remove themselves from being the collateral that these countries borrow money from in order to produce and finance all of these wars and finance all of these military constructs, then the people can basically take the energy and the steam out of it. Now, yes, that may put the people into fear modes of thinking that these places will retaliate, but there are things already written within the constructs of the natural laws that exist in every country that the people can tap into in order to create some type of defense and security. And with would take the steam out of anything that they will be using the people as against the people. So that's definitely an area to tap into to begin to understand what can be done. And wherever the situation is heading, it doesn't have to stay on that course if the people wake up and realize that they can determine what course that their so-called country or their area or their nation,
What's up?
whatever terminology they may refer, the people can actually position themselves, and it starts in
Doing
the
some
mind
due
by
diligence,
adjusting the
homework.
mindset, and that will automatically dictate to the actions that
The
the people will
doctor's in the
actually take.
building.
And it
I
doesn't
got
have
an
to be
hour or
something
so
that
before the
results
games
in
come
a
on.
bloodshed, because everything can be orchestrated in a proper way once people understand what
For
level
my
of
children
degree
come
of
over.
power that they actually have within their being, because they are the source of all power, because power is the people. So honest to you, brother.
Alright, so can you answer me this one thing? So if I put XREL, do I have to have all of my shit together before I do that? Or knowing what we know, like,
Oh yeah, it's out,
and our
huh?
ancestors, our
I
Aboriginal
can
or
dig that.
indigenous, like, we still have to
I've been playing
prove
golf,
that?
so playing golf,
Well, the thing about the XREL
a
for
lot of
360 is
studying,
that XREL is short for X-Relation, which basically says that
a lot of
in
studying,
correcting
and
your
then on
status,
top of that,
oftentimes you have people that are
trying to help
utilize
somebody
your
run
CCs and other
a
forms
family-owned
Sestu,
hookah lounge.
Sestu KB, or rogatory torts and things of
So
that
my
nature,
plate is
which
full.
in some situations they have successful remedy and things of that nature. But you have to realize that when you utilize those forms, that you're also contracting back in to a certain degree, and you're utilizing things that are part of the fraudulent system to remedy things that are part of the fraudulent system. So I'm not discouraging people from taking that route that they choose, because life is about choices. But XREL says that you have information that refers to the so-called straw man, because you've been living under that vice throughout the
But
entirety
I'm
of
trying
your
to be
life.
more
And when you
educational
come
now with the
onto the
people.
awareness, you have information, so now you can now represent that
Some real
entity known
education,
as
some
your
stuff
straw
that I
man,
studied
but
with
you
my
can only
heart.
present yourself, right? So when you're in a tribunal situation, or what we call courts, they're not actually courts, but we call them courts, and you're dealing with a magistrate,
But you
or
gotta be,
clerks
you
and
gotta live
administrators,
by,
right? You can present yourself as in your proper person,
how
as
can I
a
put it? Example.
natural, live, living human being that has no liability or anything connected to the straw
So
man.
if I'm trying to
Under
disconnect from
XREL,
my
you
straw
have
man,
information
as he keeps
pertaining
speaking
to
on
that you
straw
can
man,
represent that straw man, but you're not here
I have
under
to actually
normal
be
circumstances.
in
You're
it
here under special
in order to help
appearance
people get out
just
of
to
it.
address
And this is for
the
all
issues
people,
that are going on
no
with the
matter
straw
who
man,
you are,
which can
at
receive
all.
all of the liability. All of
Until
the
you
liability
understand the
only
difference
goes to the
between
straw
lawful
man,
and legal.
and you did not create the straw man. This is oftentimes what people run into when they're trying to authenticate or utilize the different constructs that were created on your day of birth. You did not create that trust fund and things of that nature. So ultimately, you won't have full authority over it, because the only way you can function with it
But
is
you got to
within
get
the
rid of your
construct
straw
of the
man.
Uniform
But if you
Commercial
don't know
Code
what your
and things
straw
of that
man
nature,
is,
or the USCs.
then there's
And
just so
so
much bullshit out now.
XREL says that you have a X relationship with it, yet you're not bound by any of the liabilities that are attached and associated with it. So you can present yourself.
So
You
I'm
can only represent
freeing up my sources,
the straw man, because the straw man automatically always
because
needs
this is for
representation, because
everybody. And
it's
I don't
a
want nothing
minor,
from it.
it's an adolescent.
So I ain't
It's
got
not
but
covered.
12
It cannot
subscribers.
defend or present itself, because it
I
actually
get close
only
to 50,
exists
I'm
on
gonna start
that piece
over
of paper.
again.
It doesn't exist in any capacity outside of that piece of paper. It's
And
only a
there's a reason for that.
legal construct or a fictitious entity that exists on paper. It's not actually you, and they have never communicated with you, your living, live, natural being. They've only communicated with you, representing yourself as that corporation. So I trust that that gives some clarity into what XREL and the purpose of XREL is.
So in accordance to what you're saying, Dr. Bay, it would be in our major interest to do this around the world. It's just not for one fraction of people. And forgive me, Dr. Bay and panel, because I seem to have just be looking out for a certain community that I'm part of. And I don't think, from what Dr. Bay gave me, and I just want to know if I'm correct, I should broaden my horizons because everybody is due this information. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to completely reform this entire lie that has been told.
Yes, Bro Rush, because you have to realize that there were two types of lies that were told, right? You had one type of lie that made a certain dynamic or certain group of people feel and receive information that they were of an inferior state. And you had a greater lie that was told to masses of people that had another demographic of people thinking that they were of a superior state. Both demographics are false. One is more false than the other because that reverses the script. It's a situation of vice versa, right? And we have to realize that the light island are extensions or continuations, or they came out of the original dark island. And even the concept of light and dark is really another misnomer because the things that activate additional melanite cells or carbon compounds is what we call the light of the world. So the darker you are, actually the more light skinned you would be. And that's just another mind trick on words. And when you remove yourself from the light of the world, referred to as the sun and different things of that nature, and you go into the darkness or you go into areas that confine that, then those activated melanite cells are not needed. So they actually go into stasis of dormancy, or they go into a dormant state. And so this is what creates it's just so much science or so much that is not revealed to how and why certain things are occurring. Yet ultimately, the mission or the purpose in the movement is for the upliftment of fallen humanity, meaning to erudite every being on the planet with truth. Because there's only one thing that can heal or cure all of the issues that the world is suffering from, and that is truth, unadulterated truth. Truth is the only thing that never passes away. It's the only thing that always is. Falsehoods come in many different forms, many different versions, but they must pass away because they are not an aspect of source. They're not an aspect of origin, right? They are a necessary aspect to maintain balance. This is what the yin and yang aspect speaks to. You can't appreciate or understand what we call good without bad. You can't acknowledge the height of anything without its lows. And so this is what the experience of duality or the third dimension is all about. It is a yin and yang perspective, or a higher self and lower self. Both must exist, but we can seek to balance them and usher it in a direction that is beneficial to the whole. And that's what the concept of uplifting fallen humanity is all about. And humanity simply means the human man, or the light being, or the spirit man, or the life within animals, because we are mammals. We are physically, and avatars are animals. And for reference to that, just look at the embryonic process of how these two entities known as the spermatozoa and the egg, they combine and then they go into stasis of diversity or multiplying themselves, and then ultimately your tail grows, and then all of these different scenarios. It takes you through the evolutionary processes of mammals. So we are mammalian, yet we have hue, or we have spirit, or we have the breath of life within us. And this is what animates us through the responsibility of being custodians of the planet. And so we have to reposition ourselves back into the people being custodians for that which is here to assist and add benefit to the growth process of nature, and not to be destructive and destroy it as we have been indoctrinated to do for profit. So honestly, family, and I'm not sure if that absolutely addressed your question, but I trust that it at least opens up a doorway for an additional question or in the direction that you are seeking, family.
Yeah, that was a complete answer. That's exactly what I was looking for. Um, Shoot, you explained it so good. I'm trying to find additional questions um, to go along with that. But it is everybody of the same nationality, and would this be just for a certain nationality? I mean, I guess in essence, we all are if we deprive from one man and one woman, but that would make us all connected. But just because we're connected, are we all of the same nationality?
Make the efforts to assist in any way that I can. Y'all are absolutely assisting me. So I definitely honor y'all for that and much gratitude. And let's definitely continue to grow. I mean, be willing.
Yeah, that was a complete answer. That's exactly what I was looking for. Um, you explained it so good. I'm trying to find additional questions um, to go along with that. But it, is everybody of the same nationality? And would this be just for a certain nationality? I mean, I guess in essence, we all are if we deprive from one man and one woman. But that would make us all connected. But just because we're connected, are we all of the same nationality?
All right, that's actually a great question, Bro Rice. And that, the way I would answer that question is more is the nationality of the world. And I'll explain that in a minute. More is the nationality of the world. All other nationalities are what will be referred to as sub-nationalities because they mostly derive after the division. They derive from different areas pooling themselves into pockets of what we call tribes or cultures or entities, and they were in most cases named after a certain individual. For example, China was named after Qin, or if you do the etymological roots of most of these sub-nationalities, you'll find that they started or they began at a certain time, right? And the connection to these sub-nationalities, which is important to because they at least tie you back to a geographical location. But the importance of these sub-nationalities comes through their origin and where they began. But ultimately, all of the sub-nationalities tie back into the universal nationality, which is the nationality of being a Moor. Because Moor basically has gone through many different phonetic alterations and different expressions from Mir to Moor, yet they all refer to a concept of being tethered to your mother and your mother being tethered to the land through the concepts of nature. So this is what Moor means. It means that you were connected or tethered to your mother, and your mother is tethered and connected to her mother, and so forth and so on. We've all been tethered, and in order for evidence of that, each being in the room or each unique individual in the room can look down the front of their body, and if you see an area around the middle or the balance point of your body that has a navel cord or a natal connection or an umbilical cord where you were tethered to your mother, then that is evidence and proof that you were moored to your mother. So you ultimately are a Moor. And so I'm not sure how much that adds to the question, but oftentimes the answer to a question lies within the question. And listening to your question, I heard the answer within your question. And so, yes.
Ooh, this gonna be an uphill battle because of race. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just took the root word race and saw it as a competition. And as I saw it as a competition, then I furthermore understood the difference in nation and the difference in races. because everybody's trying to get ahead of the other culture and be on top of the other culture and dominate. The thing is, I've asked a lot of people what the prize is for winning the race. Can you tell me what you think a viable prize would be for winning the lie called race?
Way betterment, and we definitely would be willing to assist in our personal, so to speak, growth as well as our collective growth. So honestly, y'all, got the brother Sports Rumble in the house.
So Doc Bay, if you are tethered to your mother, would that not mean you are what your mother is? Meaning, if your mother is of a particular religion, would that not mean you follow her, not the father?
Well, brother Sports Rumble, that's absolutely a great question, and it's a loaded question that has a lot of necessary components to it. By you being tethered to your mother, you are absolutely a part of what your mother is. Now, what we have to remember is that all beings, both male and female, have both masculine and feminine energy, meaning they have a contribution from both male and father. In order to have one being, you must have a combination of both beings in order to create one being, right? This is the science of life and nature, right? So the connection you made with, are you not what her religion is? You have to realize that religions are you realigning or you choosing to place allegiance to a particular ideology or a particular concept. Religion has nothing to do with your natural state of being or your natural expression of existence. Religions are often adopted perspectives and ideologies and belief systems that all had a particular origin. Yet, as I stated earlier on in the show, I refer to them as different schools of thought. And so when you strip away any egotistical or personal or narrative from any of the schools of thought, at their very core, at their very essence, what you'll find is that each and every one of them teaches you the exact same thing or encourages you toward the exact same thing. That is, know thyself, honor thyself, honor thy mothers and thy fathers as thyself, honor all others as thyself. So at their core, this is what they teach, know thyself. So even though they come under different ideologies that change and the narratives get added and adjusted, ultimately at their core, they're all pieces of the same puzzle which must go together in order to see the big picture. And so in that question were several answers that all link us back to the concept of wholeness and balance and being a collective enlightenment. So honestly, your question, Russ Sports Rumble.
Thank you for answering that question, Doc. I had another question. So, I was listening to a panel last night discussing the, not really complications, but the issues of beginning to rebuild our communities here at home. And things got lost in translation when one of the speakers brought up the philosophy of the four corners of the world. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. I highly suggest everyone to read into that. But moving forward, what's the best step for any community to come together to start rebuilding, to help the nation on a smaller scale?
Well, Brother Enzo, I would definitely say that truth would absolutely be the cure and the remedy for all of our situations, no matter where they are, what corner of the world that they stem from. Now, getting to that truth will definitely be challenging because you have to develop a level of discernment that is not just readily, encouraged out here. And that level of discernment must go from within and tap back into mirology or being honest with yourself. So that definitely is a base premise. And as far as establishing what things that one should do, just from the process or the mindset of interrupted or subjected to certain ideologies and agendas, then nature has the answers. So encouraging people to get back to being as natural or connected to nature and the examples that nature provides is very key because a lot of the solutions are right amongst us. They're all around us. A lot of the things that we should be doing, which bring us back to how we should be thinking, because the way you think kind of determines and dictates how you actually act for the things that you do. And the way you act becomes a prerequisite for the reality that you experience. So those would definitely be areas of encouragement that I would encourage the people to get back into. First, mirology, because you have to activate within yourself a willingness to accept any truth, even the uncomfortable truths, and be honest with yourself, and then tap into those things as to where you're willing, or how much energy you're willing to actually put into creating that reality versus something that is just socially engineered, that we just talk about, wrestle about, argue about, bicker about, instead of actually seeing or putting our energy into the areas that would actually provide us with the opportunities for growth and success. So, honest to you, bro. So,
Islam, I got a question. For all the knowledge that's going out there right now, do you believe that nationality and birthright are the only ways to successfully change the dynamic that's going on right now? That's one question.
well, I would only express the importance of nationality because the primary purpose of nationality is basically to reconnect you as a nation, which by doing so, that reconnects you to nature or the land and the responsibility that you have as custodians of the land. And that kind of taps back into the previous question of Brother Enzo as to some of the things we should be doing. And so the process of nationality is the order of the day, and it is the rule because everyone must get back into that mindset. And then once everyone is in that mindset, the aspect above that will be wholeness or a universal perspective of realizing that, all right, now that everyone is back into a concept of sub-nationalities, ultimately into universal nationality, now what are we going to do as a whole to move forward and make sure that we create that heaven on earth, or that peace on earth as it is in heaven, heaven being a state of mind of that everything is in alignment and balance and adhering to what we would all call source or most high, whatever aspect, or basically we've created a state of what people say is never even possible. But utopia is possible when you accept and allow the concept of balance, that it takes this energy and that energy for this third dimensional experience. Yet you have to be mindful that you've never had the actual choice of where to apply your energy, because most of your life has been part of a regurgitation. Most people have never had pure thoughts of their own. They've just been regurgitating things that they heard, things that was indoctrinated into them through their computer or their CPU, their central processing unit, or their minds, from an external source. And it allowed people to get into a place that they were not actually functioning according to their own thoughts, but regurgitated thoughts. So it's all definitely part of a beneficial process. Now, bro, Rice.
Ooh, this gonna be an uphill battle because of race. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I just took the root word race and saw it as a competition. And as I saw it as a competition, then I furthermore understood the difference in nations and the difference in races. Because everybody's trying to get ahead of the other culture and be on top of the other culture and dominate. The thing is, I've asked a lot of people what the prize is for winning the race. Can you tell me what you think a viable prize would be for winning the lie called race?
Well, brother, I'm gonna quote a popular brother that used to express this in this way: "No one wins the race in racism. is because there actually is no such thing as race. And most of the minds of the people have been definitely socially engineered and indoctrinated into a concept of race. People think that there are different races, there are multiple races, and race is a type of competition. No matter where you search within your mind, you try to associate anything that you can relate to every association you have to race, you'll only find a particular type of competition. So the reason why that has been projected on the minds of the people is so that they can stay in a competitive state. And competition is rooted in what we call VS, period, or versus. So it is about being versus. So it is about utilizing the energy and the power of the people to work against the people. And that is the only thing that can destroy the people is their own power against themselves. So this ideology and this concept of there being a particular race is the delusion, because nations were never signified or identified based off of a racial classification, because the amalgamation has been going on for thousands and thousands of years. So there has never been any such thing as a pure race, so to speak, in thousands and thousands of years. Everyone is actually a product of the amalgamation, depending on different aspects and degrees of what is activated within your DNA and these things that they call dormant and active, or dominant and recessive, or attractive and repulsive. So this concept of race alone is the actual issue. There is no such thing as race. And it has nothing to do with whether or not there is no such thing as physical characteristics. There's no such thing as complexion variation, because all of these things do exist. Yet that is part of the diversity, which is actually the beauty of life and not the actual detriment of life. Because no matter how you feel personally, you're not going to just get rid of a certain dynamic of the human bouquet just because you feel a certain way about it. No matter how you feel, you're just wrestling with yourself. And that's something that many people find themselves in. And that's only because they have been indoctrinated with a spirit of competition, and it is about competing. Yet nature and source has provided enough in a state of abundance where it don't matter if you double the population right now, the planet still can sustain that if the individuals on the planet were actually working toward the betterment of the planet and themselves. But according to the social engineered dynamic, they have everybody thinking that there's an overpopulation, there's not enough resources, there's not enough, so that most of the actual resources can be funneled into these corporate entities that are beasts. And a beast is something that just devours that which is considered to be less than it. So many people are acting in a beastly form because they're emulating the corporate entities and the corporate governments around the world that are acting in a beastly mode. So we have to remember that power is the people, and that all these government entities were only established to support and add representation of the people, for the people, by the people, for the betterment and the benefit of the people. So all of these things definitely must be put back into their proper order. And that is definitely a major aspect that has been indoctrinated onto the minds of the people to keep them divided. And if people actually knew the real truth, knew the real depths of quantum physics and how genetics actually work, and how activated or dormant works versus active, and all of these things that take you into the science of life, or the science of what actually makes you up, and how things are prescribed in the different formations. For example, you could actually have two very dark-eyed, or actually light-skinned individuals, but dark-eyed individuals that can come together, and they can have a being that is totally, light-eyed, because of what was particularly activated. And these things that they call junk DNA is not junk DNA. It's actually things that are dormant. Now, as we're awakening, we're tapping into activating more and more aspects of that, and this will allow the people more and more ability to see what's really going on versus the narrative that has been painted to the minds of the people for generations. And honestly, bro, right?
Second question is, do you think people will in turn learn before it's too late, or maybe after it's too late, depending on how things happen, that it is smart to maybe find out about how to govern yourself, so you don't have to seem like a baby on a parent's pocket, holding it, looking for guidance. And does it bring one a certain type of independence and I don't know, maybe inspirational guidance from inside oneself to know how and when and how or what that you want to go forth with whatever you're doing?
Yes, brother. Well, understanding who and what they really are, then that's done on purpose. That's done by design. Because if the people actually knew the rules of the game, they knew what was actually happening, then the people would make a conscientious choice not to participate, not to consent, not to apply their energy as like a battery, like, to the things that they're complaining about. Almost everything that the masses of the people complain about is generated, or it is financed, generated, or receive the energy to exist from the very people that are complaining about it. And this is a dynamic that we're not aware of. And that was an area of your question that that I definitely wanted to tap into. So I'm gonna replay that portion until it gets back to that.
Second question is, do you think people will in turn learn before it's too late, or maybe after it's too late, depending on how things happen, that it is smart to maybe find out about how to govern yourself so you don't have to seem like a baby on a parent's pocket, holding it, looking for guidance?
All right. And see, brother, that's why it's very important that people do understand self-governance, and they do so with the principle. See, this is why you have to establish, no matter what you look like, what you have been told, what you have to talk. Through mirrorology, you have to be honest with yourself and say, am I willing to fortify and foundate myself in the principles of love, ye one another, truth, no matter the consequences, peace within myself as well as with others, freedom of every expression of myself as long as I'm not infringing on another's freedom of that same expression, and an acceptance of the need for justice, which is a rebalancing of any violations of these perspectives. So it's very important that everyone foundate themselves in those base principles, which automatically will foundate you in all of the things that people call commandments or laws or rules, and all of the different schools of thought. They can all be housed within those very simple principles and concepts. So there's really no reason for people not to be willing to endow themselves with this. And then now, once you receive or remember the knowledge that you're already endowed with, now you're going to act in a proper manner that benefits the masses of the people. And this, not just from a selfish perspective of creating some type of hierarchy or status that outshines another. Because as I stated earlier, that in order to uplift yourself, if the only way you can uplift yourself is by condemning and putting down on another, then that's not true upliftment. That's absorption into the aspects of your lower self. And so the filter through which they have a saying called knowledge is power, yet knowledge is only potential power. Because when you receive knowledge, you can filter it through your lower self, which will be your egotistical aspect or demonic self, and then that would only become arrogance, narcissism, or just things that are detrimental to the betterment of self. Yet if you filter through your higher self, then it can become something very beneficial to yourself as well as all others. So I trust that taps into what you were speaking on, family.
And would the benefit of the state helping the people be a hindrance on them at all?
Well, we have to understand what states are. So Moorish Science Temple itself is actually a nation state, because remember, states are only states of mind. So when you're clinging to or claiming a particular state, what you're claiming is whatever that collective of individuals got together and determined are the rules and regulations for that mindset or that mind state, right? And so when you accept those tenets, then you are consenting. And when you consent to something, then you get the results of that which you consent to. So we have to be very mindful when we say the state, and the state assisting the people. So because all of these are mind states, they don't actually exist anywhere outside of the mind. And because we accept this reality, this is what makes them part of our reality. So that definitely goes down a couple of rabbit holes and up a few ladders, but it definitely is founded in that simple expression of what states actually are.
Now that I sit here and listen to you answer that question, you know what really concerns me? The fact that people don't know the true nationalities of the actual land masses of wherever they say they may from. Like, people don't really know what American actually is because they believe that it's a continent. I got people who may be Jamaican and don't really understand about the fucking continent or that landmass because they never really dug into it. So my question is really asking, like, do people really understand or can they really understand the difference between nationality versus the corporate entities that inhabit their landmass?
Right, because most people, what they're calling country, as we stated earlier, are actually corporate constructs. So if you get into the etymology of the name or the origin of whatever country you think you're from or you're in, it had a particular origin. It had a time that it began. And so when people start digging into that, they'll be like, all right, well, this began in 1958, or this only began in 1898, or this only began in 1768. Then what was it before that? What is the narrative I really need to be looking at? I know I've been clinging to this. I know that throughout the entirety of my life, I've been holding what I call pride in this and holding on to this. But what is this actually rooted in? What is this founded in? So this requires that study. It requires that willingness to actually do the in search, not only the research, but do the in search. Because see, when you take your research and you say, all right, this is what I researched, this is what I came up with. Now I'm gonna put it into the library, not the library, but the library within. And I'm gonna weigh it up. I'm gonna balance it in my intellect, and I'm gonna be honest with myself, and I'm gonna see if it makes sense. Because common sense becomes before book sense, right? And so once I begin to weigh it up into my intellect, now I realize that there are additional quests or questions that I need to seek. There's a different path I need to go down, and so that's going to contribute or add to establishing that if we are willing to go on the quest. So that's definitely an area that people need to look into, and that will bring us to a different realization about what's really going on about these subnationalities.
And how you think they would even be able to make that difference? I mean, yeah, we all read and like I normally go to something small like colors, but I don't know if they would really grasp the idea of nationality to a degree.
Yes, bro. I think that definitely taps into what we were just speaking on. But it's going to take a process. You know, it was a process that got us to this present state, and it will be a process to get us out of this state. Yet, if we never begin the quest, or we never start asking ourselves the question, then we don't begin the quest. And if we don't begin the quest, then how can we even expect to get to a point of remedy or solution? So a solution-based mindset is one that's willing to accept the question themselves, and then question everything that they think that they know, then question everything that they think that they learn. Because remember, when you learn something, you're not adding something to yourself. You're using it to activate or remember something you already know. So you already have all of the answers that you seek, yet you must do the work of connecting yourself back to yourself so that you can reveal and expose yourself to those answers and then be those answers. Because you're already connected as source to source.
No, I only say that because the process now, as I'm seeing it, as open as my eyes are in this time frame, this moment in this time frame, people have been so drastically, I don't know, man, tricked as some weird. It's not. I can't even say.
Well, Bro Noble, this is definitely what I would like to say to that, because yes, we are all in a space of now that is a culmination of things that have already happened, things that have contributed to it, that got us to the now. But here's something I definitely want us to be aware of. I want us to be aware that you can change your mind within an instant. You can change your mind within as briefly as the snap of a finger, right? So no matter what has contributed to the distortion or getting us to this point, This is why it has to always replicated, always be added to. There's a relentless attempt to always keep the people distracted from actually knowing what's really going on, right? Because in a moment, in an instant, you can simply truly choose to change your narrative, to reclaim the reins of your own mind. You can simply just choose to right now, and everything and anything that came before that moment, you have absolute authority over just by making the conscientious choice. And so I I say that so that as to discourage us from not encouraging ourselves and others based off of things that have happened yesterday. Because here's the thing about the past, present, and the future. The thing about the past is that whatever actually truly happened, you cannot alter or change, right? It is forever founded in truth, right? So you have to seek it from a truth perspective, right? But you can't change or alter it, right? All you can do with anything from the past is drag it into your present and then remanifest it through a filter that will affect your now. And you've never made it to the future because every time you get to tomorrow, it's today. So the only reality that you actually have effect over, you actually have some sort of capability of adjusting is your now. So if you dwell into the importance of now, then you can utilize things from the past as stepping stones, and you can aspire for things that you would call your future, all by putting energy into the now. So that's definitely something that must be done, brother.
Yeah, shout out to you, Dr. Bay. I've just been sitting here listening for over an hour. Just the wisdom that you bring, the etymology that you get into, the words, the expressions, is just really enlightening and helping me take away a lot from this discussion. I call myself the destroyer of narratives, and I see that a lot of things you say kind of uproots and stops a lot of these narratives from even forming, whether it be black versus white, American versus foreign, hate, love, just you grasping onto the unconditional concepts that unite us as beings living this expression. So I really appreciate the knowledge, love, whenever I can come through. Still thinking of a question, but shout out to everybody in the panel who's giving questions and just letting the knowledge keep flowing. I'm just sitting here soaking up game. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to the doc.
Super high honors to you, bro. Freedom Reign. Much love to you. Definitely appreciate you being part of the quest, part of the mission. And trust, I often sit in the backgrounds of most of the people here and most of the shows, and I just absorb and I just look, listen, and learn, and make efforts to grow and try to seek windows of opportunities where I can assist anywhere that I can. And honestly, brother, I what?
Right. So it's like the people have been tricked to the point that
Okay, we're on the quest, and we got some pretty sufficient answers, Dr. Bay, and I want to thank you for that. Just bluntly and as blunt as you can put it, because I know it's gonna be eloquent. It's just who you are. What would be the first step in taking to the exact first step? I mean, even after changing your mind, what is the first step in action? Because faith without works is dead. What is the first step in action that a person would need to do in order to get this lie untold, or get the truth out?
Realize that corporate entities, corporate governments, things of that nature cannot make laws. Laws, again, are things that are already naturally endowed within you. This is what laws are. They give us this illusion of the different statutes, code, regulations, and dictates that they foster through the legal system, and they put it under the guise as if it's a law, and they'll call it a law. But ultimately, in truth, laws are already established within your being, because law stems from a concept of length, angle, and width, or the geometry, or the sacred geometry of life. Everything has a particular length, angle, or width. And then that's LAW. And then it deals with the components of nature, which are land, air, and water, and all of the things consistent within source is the origin of law, and laws are endowed within you through your avatar or your being, or you're experiencing this life through this avatar that is made up of law. And the only time you violate law is when you infringe on the peace, well-being of another living being and its expression of its law, right? So when you create a colorable law system, or de facto legal system that functions under the color of law, it's colored as if it's law, but it's not actually law, then this is where all of the confusion and all of the narratives come from, because the people think that it's law, and it is whatever you think it is. The reason that it's law to you is because you think that it's law, but in actuality, it has nothing to do with law, and it's just part of a legal construct or a legal fiction. So that makes it part of falsehood. And remember, the only thing that lasts forever is truth, and law is representative of truth. Legal is representative of fiction, and so it must pass away. And the way it passes away is by people clinging to and understanding what truth and law actually is.
And even like some family tell me, like, it's kind of hard to find people who even want to be conscious to what's going on. Everybody rather hear you have a conversation about it, but really don't want to have a conversation with you about it. And then it's like, how I'm supposed to expect my people to be as great as I believe they are when we can't even have a general conversation about some shit that you are just allowing yourself to be affected by. And me, I'm learning about a type of a pattern that this type of environment from these groups of entities are putting people in. And it's like, fuck, bro, there gotta be some level of respect for oneself and the people who care for you, just to have a conversation about some shit that we both can build on for ourselves and the nation. Shit.
Well, it is, brother, but it begins within self. You know, see, oftentimes when we're learning something, we try to impress, or not impress as far as make people have admonishment, but we try to impart our expression onto others without first encouraging them to do that necessary aspect, which is tapping into themselves first and being honest with themselves through mirology, and saying that. So before we should actually share information publicly, we should precede that with encouragement for them to actually be honest with themselves and tap into themselves. So oftentimes we do things kind of out of order. We try to share information that we've become aware of, and we haven't done the shadow work or the inner work first. And not only doing it as an individual, but we have to encourage others to be willing to do that, or they won't receive it. And this is where a lot of the conflict and the battling comes in at, because we're trying to disseminate information like being a fractal or a fractionalized being, trying to connect with other fractionalized beings. And this is what the issues are in relationships. You have fractionalized beings trying to connect with other fractionalized beings instead of developing yourself into being a whole being, connecting with other whole beings. This will create more of a likelihood of the connection being productive. So everything that we're doing is a type of relationship, right? Because we are the ships. We are the living ships. You know, we traverse through the ethers of life, right? And so we're trying to relate to one another. So we have to create relatability. And that relatability comes through encouraging yourself and then encouraging others, because that's all we can do is encourage, motivate, and inspire, because everyone has free will. That receiver of this encouragement must take the position of receiving that encouragement, acting on it, and then encouraging others to do the same. And that's the process. If we are to be successful, we definitely must be on.
But see, you see what I'm saying? If you understand the past, then you can better understand the now. But if people don't care about the goddamn past, how can us looking at the past history, learning about the past history, reading about that, going to buy documents and books and doing our due diligence, maybe not being so fast as others, but shit, bro, you gotta look at the past. And people, since we wasn't taught this in school, you gotta go out there and grab that fucking knowledge. And that's not something that people want to do. It's like, I'll be in a medical school, but I won't fucking do this type of knowledge for myself.
You know, brother, at the beginning of your statement, you said a word that was very important. You said care. You used the word care. So we often express how we love each other, how we, you know, do this or do that, but it's a very important, significant aspect of love, and that's the caring part of love. And if we are to care, then what comes with that is a why, right? This is the part of moving with purpose. You have to establish what your why is. What is significant about why should I care? How does caring, how does sharing, how does expressing this love actually not only benefit me, but how does it benefit others, right? And so when we say we don't care about the things that have happened in the past, in actuality, that's a misconception because we do have a form of caring about it, but we have to adjust that caring to being a holistic type of caring because most of the narrative that we spew or that we live according to are not original or truthful narratives. They are narratives that were created for an agenda. They were created to create a certain type of course for the people to walk down. And in walking down that course, you're going to have all of this dissension, all of this thing. This is the product or the end result of adhering to that narrative. And once you become aware of it, the first thing you should do is encourage yourself not to be or to detach yourself from that narrative and encourage others to be willing to disconnect themselves from that narrative as well. Because if you don't encourage them to be willing to disconnect, and you just try to force information on it, then it's natural for them to defend themselves against any what they consider to be abrogation of their narrative. So it's going to be received as an attack. And it is natural for any living being to go into survival mode and defend itself from any form of attack. So we have to be mindful of the process and the technique in which we share information so that it's not perceived or received as a particular attack. Because if it's received as an attack, then it's natural for anyone and anything to defend itself. That's part of our inalienable rights.
Hey man, also I gotta drop a note of respect as well, man, because it really takes a lot for people to do solo shows. Man, I just did like a practice run, and that shit is hard. Like you really gotta be prepared coming into this podcasting thing. So yeah, man, it gave me a new level of respect because you have to, I mean, trial and error with everything, but to really be constantly talking, like no gaps of like real silence and people constantly chiming in. That's what I aspire to get to. So very inspiring and damn, much respect because like I said, man, once you go dead silent on that shit with no information, it's like, well, you kind of get anxious if you've never done podcasting. So much respect.
Honestly, brother, 360. Much gratitude to you, brother, and much success to you in your endeavors. And honestly, brother, I'm just sharing with the family, responding and sharing accordingly. And just what I love to do because I know that the purpose is to assist in any way that I can, any way I can contribute. And that's just who I am, brother. And so, not a special task because I'm the person that knows that no one is smarter than anyone else, no one is greater than anyone else or lesser than anyone else. It's just that we are all in our purest form, we're all parts of the source and we know everything we'll ever know. We're just expanding our awareness through that, and a lot of that is determined by different experiences, different contributions that have contributed to our lives. And so we're all just remembering that we are all one and we're all part of the same source, experiencing life through different narratives, different experiences for the purpose of gaining supreme experience. And so it's all love. I refer to it as zerology, mirology and zerology, the science of the zero or the wholeness or the connected of all things. But honest to you, brother, 360.
Okay, we're on the quest, and we got some pretty sufficient answers, Dr. Bay, and I want to thank you for that. Just bluntly and as blunt as you can put it, because I know it's gonna be eloquent. It's just who you are.
question, you said that once you check into changing the mind, because that's the first step. The mindset is the first step, because the mindset or the determination of the minds that are all within the one avatar, once you adjust the mindset and you reconnect the mindset and you create or inspire them for a quest to know, that is the first step, right? Because that is a type of action. That is a type of action, right? Because your thoughts are very active. In fact, anyone that's ever attempted to meditate or to silence the mind or to still the mind and for the purpose of focusing that mental energy into one objective, you'll see that the mind is very, very active. So it's always active, right? So that would be the first step. The second step would be, what do you actually physically do, right? And so that is to go to a lot of these sources so that you can weigh these sources up in your own intellect before you actually act physically, right? Adjusting the mindset initially creates the willingness, right? Tapping into the resources or the sources of information to remove yourself out of formation will be the second form of action. All of these are the mental actions that come before the physical action. And then once you have studied, once you have become very solid in overstanding and understanding what you're actually attempting to do and what you would like to accomplish, then you get into the actual action or the physical action. And the physical action comes within in declaring this narrative in and amongst yourself, writing yourself a new reality, a new realization as to declaring who you are and what you would like to represent or present yourself as, right? And then the third step will be actually proclaiming or making a proclamation to all entities that were previously in positions of authority over the attorney of your well-being or your natural life, right? And in that process, you're going to become aware of many other procedures and processes, but it should start with being willing to correct your status, because people don't understand the power of political status. Neither do people understand the power of their signature, because your signature is your method of transferring your energy or transferring your consent. So you have been signing things throughout the entirety of your life. So you have to get those things unsigned, and then you have to autograph them, right? Take autonomy over the graphics of your being. I'm not sure if it's still here. It seems to have chimed out a little. I mean, if y'all are still here, can y'all send up a few claps or something just to let me know that I'm still coming through, because I...
Oh yeah, you still here. You still here.
All right, definitely appreciate y'all, man. But those are definitely things that you have to do, right? You know, and of course, it is very important to tap into.
I guess what's more agitating is the fact that I can't change anyone else's mind, and it's heartbreaking. And that's kind of some of the frustration that I'm getting from a lot of the comments, because I'm in the same predicament, man. You really trying to help people, but you get so aggravated that you get out of character. And I think I have to learn how to choose how to stay focused. But I guess that comes with time and wisdom.
Act upon. But the first steps is definitely adjusting the mindset, fortifying the mindset, and then taking those particular steps to correct your status, because that is the very area that has put all of us in a position of not having the autonomy or the self-governance authority that we were all endowed with through birth.
And another question, as you, Dr. Bay, being a Moor, for everybody that's listening, right? Would you say that it's hard being a Moor and governing yourself and looking at things that require you to keep going with your life and your job and whatever else you may be doing? Like, is it hard to function as a Moor in the world? I don't think people really hear that terminology? And then at the same time, do you have to do a lot and pay a lot of attention to the things that you do which govern yourself?
Well, the answer to that question, brother, is in some instances it's difficult, yet it was very difficult 40 years ago when I started. It was extremely difficult because most of the narratives, most of the things that were necessary were not known as they are today. Many of these things are not that difficult to grasp today because there have been many people for the last 100 years trying to nip and tap into this concept and things like that, right? So it was extremely difficult, and of course, you become the crazy person. You become, labeled as this and that, and then all these years later, these same people that classified or identified you as that are the very ones that are running to you saying that, man, everything you were saying was right and exact, and man, how did just scenarios like that. So it's far easier today for anyone even starting brand new than it was in those areas, which just simply makes sense because, you're talking about things that have never been heard from people ever, and then you're acting on them. So you're moved into positions of alienation, and oftentimes this alienation causes you to submit or to give in or to cave in because you're like out on a limb trying to fight for something that you know is right and exact and trying to express it, and then that limb cracks and you look back and there's no one there. There's no one there to assist you. So the scenarios then are far different than they are now. We actually have an opportunity to tap into the realization of power is the people and the collective enlightenment, and how much easier everything is when people move as a unit or when people move as a collective, right? Now, to try and be in a tug of war against something and you're the only one on the rope and the whole entirety of existence is on the other end of the rope, that's a very dire situation. Yet you have to still, even in that type of scenario, be willing to stand in and amongst yourself and realize that everything is about technique. Everything is about tactics. You can have a person that is one against 10 people, right? But if they maintain a certain centered balance, then they're able to handle and capitalize on the weak, anxious actions of others who are only attempting to assault you, but you can defend yourself just by staying focused, by staying centered and staying balanced. And so to address that question, brother, it is much easier today than it was in the past, and it's not ever going to be as easy as it should be without the collective, without the mass collective of people working together and making the effort, in a unified action. So that is the actual key to the success, is in the unification and the collective enlightenment and the willingness of people to support one another in the endeavor, because ultimately it's for the betterment of us all. So we need to be willing to be part of that all. So, honestly, your question, brother.
Ashe, Dr. Bay. Correct.
Honest, Ashe. Figure. Empress Universal. You and I verse soul. Honestly, beloved. Much love to you. Definitely appreciate your presence.
Peace, yes, that is right, because we are in a de facto world, but we are de jure, the natural. Yeah, we de jure. We not nom de guerre like they label us. So yeah, I think it's very vital to know etymology, legalese, and all of that. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, and below, and studying yourself, like I said before. But yeah, unlearn all this shit, man, and use discernment.
Honestly, brother.
Hey, what up, Doc Bay? Sliding through the show, some love, man. Peace and blessings, man. You in here dropping gems as usual. Been in here for a while, man. Checking you out, man. You too advanced for him, Doc. You on a whole different plane of existence, Doc. And like Study Moore said, man, peace of the whole realm, man. This is collective enlightenment. It's what this is what you're speaking of to a T, bro. You got so much wealth of knowledge in this realm, but I feel you more like they not ready, man. They're not ready. They don't want to wake up, you know. But hey, man, everybody not gonna be able to be saved, man. You know, it is what it is, bro. And it ain't coming from no place of, you know, we better than nobody else. None of that. You know, it's just people don't want to realize that they've been lied to, bro. That's the hardest thing for them to overcome. But it is what it is, man. Nothing but love to the whole rap. Shout out to you, Doc. Bay, keep holding it down, man. You all right.
Honest to you, bro, Meatball. The legendary dude. Much love to you, brother. Definitely appreciate all the efforts and energy you put out here, as well as the collective over there at A&N and all of the attempts they make to bring light to a lot of situations. And there definitely is a situation we have to look at as far as, you know, we have to realize that in truth, we really can't save anyone other than ourselves. That's all we could actually, you know, put energy into saving. And in saving yourself, encourage, inspire, or motivate someone else to be willing to save themselves. And ultimately, this is the aspect that must multiply or become infectious to one another. You know, just by being willing to save yourself, not in a state of depending on some external source or some external person or being to save you, but realize that that which is your saving grace or your saving power already exists within you. So tapping into that and just encouraging others to do the same. And all those that don't take that encouragement, then as with every aspect of life, the choices that you make, you know, you basically reap the benefit or the detriment of those choices. So for anyone that doesn't make the choice to become self-aware, self-enlightened, and self-empowered, then they're making a choice to be part of the other scale. That other scale must exist. So someone has to be there. So all I'm trying to offer and encourage people is a awareness of themselves so that they can make this conscious decision. Okay, I would definitely rather be part of the betterment. I would definitely rather be part of the upliftment process or that which is considered to be good. Some may not want that choice. Some may not have came here for that choice. But at least you'll have a clear, conscious decision or awareness of the decision that you make. And that comes through discerning what has been indoctrinated to you in order to keep you distracted from your true self, and what through neurology you can tap into and develop self-accountability and make the conscious choice as to which you will prefer, where you will prefer for your energy to be. And that will create at least a level of balance. And that's all we can pretty much strive for. So honest to you for being here, bro. Meatball, power up.
Yes, we always have to go within first before doing whatever with others, because without knowledge of self, we're lost, completely lost. I had to learn that years back, but yeah, everything comes from within, and it's all about self. So yes.
Honest to you, beloved Empress. Definitely is a challenging and difficult aspect to accept and give credence to, because what it does is it takes you out of that egotistical mind frame that we were all indoctrinated to filter all of our thoughts and feelings and actions through. You know, we've always been taught this competitive survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, I got mine, you get yours. I got me, you get, it's just all of these narratives were deliberate, and they began generations before we even came into this life cycle. So we adopted it, or we inherited that mindset. So it is very challenging to get outside of that mindset. You know, no one is going to make light of that. I'm definitely not. Yet we have to take all of the things that are challenging and the things that challenge us and put them in a purpose. If it challenges your position, then take that challenge as something beneficial, because it gives you the opportunity to overcome it or to adjust it or to utilize it for the betterment. You can utilize it as a stumbling block, something that stumbles you and causes you to fall deeper and further into states of detriment, or you can use it as a stepping stone or something that can
love won't give me time.
Rise above because you were faced with that challenge. So that definitely will be my encouragement on that.
question I'd have to ask, do people know what true honesty amongst themselves is? Do people really truly understand what it is to be honest with yourself? Because I go through hell and back with myself about the things that I choose to do, choose to don't do, and I don't know if I can give somebody that within inside themselves if they don't have that. But then, do you not try to teach that person or bring that person up to a level where they can see the things that you see, or do you just leave them in their own stage of confusion or whatever there is?
Well, what I would say, Brother Noble, is that challenge of being honest with yourself. See, we can easily see how easy it is to deceive others and to create any type of deception, any type of narrative, you know. But when you're making the effort to deceive yourself, you will find confidence in thinking that you're almost there. You'll find confidence in like, nah, I know I just told myself a lie, but I'm gonna convince myself that this lie, I'm gonna repeat this lie over and over and over and over.
I feel you on that.
Unlike most of the narratives that we accept because they were repeated to us over and over and over and over, and they created these types of grooves in our mind to where we believe them because these grooves are deeply ingrained. They've been regurgitated. We've heard them all along. But when you try to self-deceive yourself,
or did I slow
no matter
down?
how deep that groove get, how deep it can get deep. You're almost about to believe it. You're right at the border.
Sipping
I'm
on
going to
that
believe the deception that I originated. I know the origins of this deception. So I can truly say that I know that it is a deception, but I'm going to convince myself that it is not a deception, right? You can strive and it's like a force field around reality. You'll never be able to cross that threshold because you know. And that's the difference between believing things and knowing.
Cowboys.
Because we're allowed to believe what we want. And belief should be the springboard for all knowledge, because you have to believe that there is knowledge in order to seek the knowledge. So I'm not condemning belief system because they have a place, they have a purpose. So you use your belief to create that faith, and then you use that faith to create that seeking, and that seeking applies you with that knowledge that you transform into wisdom through your applied applications of it. So it's all part of the process, but you can never really actually deceive yourself, no matter how much you repeat it. And so that's why self-inquiry, self-honesty is very important and necessary. So honesty, your family. And family, I've definitely been here for quite a few hours, and I definitely want to get close to bringing an end to the sharing, to the build, and I definitely appreciate everyone that's here. But as I stated earlier, anyone that does have certain areas that they want to dive down and look into, definitely send me a message, in the back chat in Instagram requesting whatever particular area, and I'll definitely search the archives and all of the things that I've been accumulating and collecting over the years, and try to find something that will become like source information that you could assist yourself, and and then you just strive to be willing to share it with others that are willing, So honestly, y'all, family. But let's definitely try to bring an end to it. And I have absolutely enjoyed it, all of y'all, as always. And I appreciate y'all really from the core of my being. Much gratitude and honesty, y'all.
Thank you for answering both of those questions so eloquently. My third question stems from a scientific background. So the question I would like to ask is, do you believe or do you see merit in laws being changed?
I heard vinyl's coming back. Not for me.
Or changed and adapted.
I don't want to be wrestling with no needles.
Scientific research or scientific studies that in some aspects
the needle is everything.
Of the world,
you got to get the best needle in order to hear the vinyl right.
So, for example, solar energy versus electricity.
It's about 8.
Well, Brother Enzo,
well, you can't slow it down.
I think earlier
this
we
ain't
spoke on like the differences between
ours to slow down
and the tenets.
This
of
is
the
all
legal
rendered.
system. And most things that refer to the law, they're going to be
it's all fun. It's supposed to be. only learning.
And where the issue comes in at
Why it ain't fun.
is in our desire to harness or hoard things of nature, including solar energy, including electricity, including magnetism. All of these things are aspects of nature, right? Yet we harness or we hoard them for the purpose of generating profit for our personal gain in the form of corporations and entities and companies and things of that nature, when they could actually be done like free energy or things that could be for the betterment of all people. These resources are
well,
available. And the
I don't know because I've never been by one.
All of the things,
but it makes perfect sense because they have pyramids on the moon, don't they?
For the betterment of the people, and we can tap into them. And there are other ways to generate what we call finance.
We clearly know we're not the only things here. Now we know.
Mostly geared toward realizing that
they aren't alien.
The current that flows within our body through the formulation of electromagnetism and things like that. This is how we are the generators. This is how we generate.
They're just lower than us.
And so, if we realize that we are,
but that's another conversation.
And we're willing to exchange, I do for you, and you do for me.
If you listen to this whole stream, he'll explain why. That's a whole other conversation.
A successful, beneficial life, and we get outside of the confines of greed.
I'm just getting some coffee, fellas.
Hierarchy or caste systems. See, the caste systems is what initially started this whole great divide. People started wanting to have hierarchy or dominion over others and things of that nature. So this is what evolved into what we have now in all of this division and, anti-beauty of diversity aspects that are going on in life. So we have to be willing to get into a resource-based mindset when it comes to talking about formulating or generating laws, but because they're not generating laws, they're generating legal policies, statutes, and code that regulate or that dictate, to the masses of the people for the purpose of creating profit or benefit, because we've been sold a narrative that we cannot have a successful existence based off of resources versus one that's based off of fiat currencies and centralized banking systems and governmental control and dictates. That simply is not true. So, understand your question, right? So.
Oh yeah, you still here. I guess what's more agitating is the fact that I can't change anyone. That's how many died, and it's heartbreaking, and that's kind of some of the frustration. I don't know that I'm getting from a lot of the comments because I'm in the same predicament, man. You really trying to help people, but you get so I don't know that you get out of character. I wasn't there. I was at the Cowboys, and I think I have to learn how to choose facility, having fun with my son. How to stay focused. We went to the game that weekend. We was in Dallas all weekend from Friday to Monday.
Again, Bro Rice, it was a beautiful expression of how the answer to the question was actually in the question. And, you spoke of two energy expressions. One, a form of agitation, and the other one, a form of frustration. We have to realize that no one outside of myself can actually agitate. No one outside of myself can actually frustrate. No one can make me mad. No one can make me upset. None of these things. We've been socially engineered to express them in an externalized blame game scenario as if someone has power over the faculties of your inner being or your emotional state. Hold on, Chad.
He talking to me right now. Hold on.
But if we come to the full realization that no one can actually dictate or control or make you anything, right? The responsibility all comes back to self-accountability and self-awareness, and realize that you must maintain the focus, which you said, of who and what you really are and what your intent and what your purpose is. And with that, no one can actually derail or detour you. And if you do get derailed or detoured, it was ultimately you, because your only true enemy is your inner me. So nothing outside of you or no actions that any other person partakes in can actually affect you beyond what you allow it. So the responsibility or the ability to respond still relies and comes back to you. And so honest to your quest, honest to all of our quests. Yet remember that you can inspire, encourage, and motivate, and don't hold no more of a responsibility than that, because this this will keep you from getting agitated or discouraged. You'll know that you made the effort, you tried, and that's the extent of what you can do. So, honest to you, brother.
Yes, sir. People got to get a hold of allodial titles and allodial property. So we not paying taxes, you did. Little things, but big outcomes.
Indeed. Honest to you, brother.
Islam to the. That question is amazing. I see it as, yes, it was difficult for me 25, 30 years ago when I came into this.
But
It's not as if,
I don't know. There were a lot of aspects we discovered. We talked about right here with my think tank right here. They people seem to think there was a demonic force there that seemed to take control of the crowd, a frequency. And this isn't any new technology. If you've been rocking with me, because I've been on here, y'all know I changed my channel at will, because that's what I do. But I did explain that when we went into Iraq, we used a frequency that paranoid the people, and they gave up their guns. You see any parallels? But a lot of these frequencies, but see, the thing is, you, like Dr. Bay was just explaining, you have to be able to control yourself under any frequency because you are the energy. Now, that concert, that was a shame. What was an 8-year-old doing there? There with their mama and daddy. Their mama and daddy party. Hey, you teach your kids young, don't you? He was teaching the child how to party. He just didn't. He probably had never been to a party like that before, so he didn't know what he was putting his child through. You dig? Sometimes we put people in positions unwillingly, trying to show them the good. I don't think he went to sacrifice his child. I don't know if it was a satanic sacrifice or not. That's neither here nor there. You know. The thing is, did they die for a good message? You know. I don't. When I first heard of Travis Scott, he wasn't the music, the guys that I listen to in the industry. Okay, everybody does their shit, but there's certain stuff that I'm just not with. And being a grown man and building a crowd of young people or teenagers is kind of like pedophilia to me. At 21, I shouldn't be singing for a crowd that an 8-year-old can understand. You dig where I'm coming from? 14, 15. I should be singing something that 21-year-olds can understand. but my mind is probably still childish too. You know, on top of this is my job. This is what I do. And this is how I take care of what I want to take care of. With that said, I they have a boss. Because if they didn't have a boss, everybody would probably be in the entertainment industry making that kind of money because it'd be that easy. I mean, think about it. If everybody supported everybody exactly the same way, everybody would have everything. Every single person on this world would have a platinum song. You get where I'm coming from? So they have a boss, which says, this is the message I want you to give to the people. And that's music in a nutshell. That's music. The message. And with a message like that on top of a known frequency, I mean, fire and gas equal more fire, right? That's math. That's math. That's a law. That's fact. You can't put gas on a fire and it go out. That's water's job. You see where I'm coming from? But at the same time, it's a beautiful thing. Because sometimes you need fire. Get where I'm coming from? Yeah, but influence is such a major. This is where we're at in the great think tanks because we don't allow each other to influence each other. We more our show works. You want to know why things are easier for me and why I'm not bothered? Why I wouldn't care what happened? I mean, to this body? It's because of the steps that I took to get to this point. And it wasn't an easy road. I mean, shit, you're gonna have some homeless days. If you're going my way, you gonna cry. Oh, you gonna cry. Probably gonna want to kill yourself a couple times because this shit's so fucked up. But when you know who you are and whose you are, all that goes away fast. Because your why becomes bigger than anything. Why am I here? And every role is crucial and necessary. Because without dark, there is no light. That's if you choose to. You get to choose, man. You're a being with a head on your own shoulders. When you go to court, you can blame it on the video game. You can blame it on somebody cussing. You got the choice. Just depends on how strong your mind is. Don't they always say mind over matter? you know. Now they can if you're not balanced. But you gotta know that you're fucked up. You gotta know that you're sick in order to heal. It's only hardwired into you. Is that what you choose to stay hardwired to? See, he just said that. We've been taught what to think instead of how to think.
But you can encourage her to develop her own.
My thinking is my
utilize a
words.
certain level of truth with doing so.
And excuse me.
So that would be my encouragement to you, brother.
I already showed.
Yo, Islam, piece of the platform, piece of everybody.
It's
that
not.
listen.
No, it's not. I can unwire it.
Please check out the information.
When I find out something is a lie, I don't hold on to it.
ClevelandMoors.com. Shit, there's just so many avenues of wealth of knowledge to learn about nationality, to learn about.
I hate the lie, but I love the liar.
And learn your spiritual.
Does that make sense?
Please
see how the choice works.
About what's going on in the world, and please don't not pay mind to things that people are bringing in front of you. It is very important. And
you choose.
Peace, love, and light to everybody. Islam.
You can be,
brother. You definitely appreciate you shouting out those sources for study. And again, for any of the family that was not here, y'all can definitely tap the avatar. I have all of those links that the brother just mentioned, and a couple others.
That's why I say being part of a think tank and something like this.
Check into.
This is what I got on YouTube for. In reality, I know I acted. Yeah, like having a phone. Sure, right.
Yeah, when
this is what I got on YouTube for. I didn't really get on for
Sky people.
The funny shit in it. I mean, I like the jokes and shit, yeah. The intent is what I don't like. But I didn't get on here for nothing but that. It's the easy part. You know what I'm saying? This alright. And like I said, I acted a plum fool. I know I burned some bridges, but oh well. Tell you what to do. Put sharks in the moat. You can put some sharks in the water in the moat. I wouldn't have a new one, trolling, if my girl would stop. And she don't listen because she makes her own money. So I can't make her do nothing. I just suggest. What she wants to do with her money, especially for me sometimes, for me, I'll be like, so, because that would be me. I wouldn't even have a cell phone. Like I told her, when this was running out, I don't even want a cell phone. I got a home phone. Catch me at the house. I don't like all that communication, to tell you the truth. I want to trade in my phone bill for a Wi-Fi pad. And use all those other services that come with the stuff built in it. Use all those other services for a phone. Yeah. It really is. It's a big distraction. And I don't, I'm going to tell you the truth. I mind the distraction because when I go to work, I go to work to work. I like to do what I signed up for. It's just something in me that says it's hard to not keep my word. And when I feel bad when I can't keep my word, I avoid people when I don't keep my word because I feel bad about it. Yeah, there you go. And if they really, really want to know where I'm at, they'll find a way. You can't stop it. It's just how much time are they willing to spend on doing that? He talking to me. Hold on.
Telling me that they do care makes any difference. Have people who want to ask questions without trying to poke holes. And believe me, bro, that conversation will grow because you wanting to give them without actually giving it to them, but wanting them to fight through the nonchalant of you have to show me you want this is going to be so much more rewarding. So keep going, Brother Rice, and keep progressing in your knowledge.
That's my partner.
Honest to that, brother.
Speak the truth, Dr. Bay. Speak the
Let me
truth.
holler at him real
Because it's
fast.
nothing but wordplay, and we get
See, this is a think tank.
whatever, cursed or whatever, however you want to say. We get out of bounds or off balance when it comes to these words. When you say enemy, it's the same thing, but people tend to use it in a different light, and words are spells, and we keep putting spells on ourselves and whatever it may be, and yeah, but yeah, peace.
Nah.
I
wouldn't even expect it. Wouldn't care because I don't really go in there unless I go in there to find some fire. Throw some fire on the fuel.
Sacred or secret. You know, it becomes the S word for the sword and the two-edged sword.
That's all. And I'm gonna quit doing that because that's wrong.
That we do toward one another.
That's wrong. Because it's easy.
So it's a war of language, a war of words.
But then again, I've been living 50 years. I done been around a lot of people. I'm in the streets. You can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Vibrations, they are frequencies that have a level of dictating our actions.
And things change for me when I quit bullshit.
Honest to that, beloved.
I mean, comfort is peace is something that you can't really replenish. I don't even have no trolls coming through here, troll.
Thanks for letting yourself be a resource.
You're not a troll. You've been around for a while.
Tap into you and sharing those resources and making people privy to the quest that you've been on to give people the answer to their questions. I know you say you're not giving, you're just kind of transferring.
And if you've been in that,
really
any game you've been in, if you knew the rules.
Yeah, have a good day, brother.
Definitely honest to you.
Any game you've been in, you gotta know the rules. And some people play a game their whole life. Matter of fact, most people, including me, been playing the game my whole life. We never knew the rules to. And it was a big game.
Exactly. What you said is what I meant. And appreciate it.
And now that I know the game and the rules to the game, because I do a lot of studying, especially now that they got everything on audiobook. I can be at work, man, and people think I'm listening to rap music. They think I'm listening. Nah, a lot of times I'll be listening to a book.
In all our ways, even if we understand ourselves or not, we're still in the process of growing and expanding our awareness. So much love for that.
But then running into, like I say, you get the information sooner or later that you're looking for.
Take self-accountability through mirology. Much love, man. We are growing.
And the only person that ever really broke my heart was me.
You will not leave. These messages will keep coming. If you hear this messages, I left that messages a while ago.
Look, this is how good Dr. Moore is.
Don't get stuck for head for too long.
I don't know who PMT is. I don't know why he's that. I don't know.
You know what? I don't think people really realize how true the war of the word. It said it's not going places and so forth. But when you were talking about the word, even the inorganic ones told you in the beginning the word was God.
Absolutely, beloved. That's definitely an area that people need to resonate with in understanding this,
But
how
I don't
basically manifest our reality
know how that.
through the vibrational frequencies we call words. Because oftentimes the words
They don't want nothing.
that we share or that we speak are a remnant.
I tell you the truth,
thoughts,
trolling.
right? And even the
In
thoughts
my
that
heart of hearts, I hope everybody's doing well.
as we translate them.
I mean, they still on. Look, you know, they still kicking it with each other. That's a wonderful thing. That's a good thing to have a relationship. I mean, I think everybody generally loves each other. They just portray this rah hate. Cause I did the same thing, but and I broke hearts and hurt feelings. But that's cause shit. Don't try to front me out. I'm smarter than you, and I know it. But it did me no good to cuss them, hurt them, and cuss them out. It didn't do no good. But at the same time, it wasn't. That's what it was for. It's hard for me to deal with bullshit motherfuckers. I get the shit out the way. You know, and most people is out to try to get over it. I'm not for your fuck shit. It's something that you're trying to use me for, and I'm not with it. Especially if we can't have a conversation. If a conversation turns into you know what I'm saying? We are expanding our awareness to the full realization of self. Let's definitely be love. Let's balance fear by raising our higher self so that our lower self can definitely be where our higher self was. And this creates positive energy that activates. But you know, this is inner peace. This is what we were just talking about earlier. A lot of hatred is brought on in self. So what's happening is a person is looking out. What happened in a person is like this dude here. He's looking outward. He's looking outward. And this is a prime example. I'm glad you came in. Have a seat. I got something for you. What he sees in the mirror is what he projects outward. So when he calls a name, that's how he feels about himself first and foremost. But I can't undo your feelings or unhurt your feelings. That's on you, brother. That's on you to unhurt yourself. You get where I'm coming from? That's on you to unhurt yourself. Some people don't mind the same person. You get where I'm coming from? But it's a lot of hurt souls out there. It's a lot of emptiness out there. You know, spoof. A lot of people that got to show you that they're happy ain't happy. If I got to show you that I'm happy, hey, trolling, not just that. If I got to show you that I'm happy, then I'm probably not, because you know a happy person, right? And y'all know I act a damn fool on here. You don't see me go off, threaten and call motherfuckers out, say I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I ain't going to do a goddamn thing. Ain't got the time. I'm just letting off, having fun, hurting feelings, making motherfuckers waste gas, money, and stream. Seeing just how far I can control a motherfucker. Like a ventriloquist. Do you know how deadly that is to let somebody control you? How deadly that is? I mean, there's just so many scenarios, but do you know how deadly that is? And if I was really doing all the shit I say, you think I'd be on here or would I be out there doing this shit? Meanwhile, I'm chilling in casinos and cities I think people say I can't go to, going to football games. Like I say, this is the least of my worries. I got a whole think tank. And I've already made up my mind for the truth. For the truth. You can have this body. Because the truth always gonna be the truth. Whether I'm here or gone. That's up to you to understand the truth. And why you would be told a great lie. Can you dig it? I don't know who that is. No. Like I say. Well, like my mama used to say. It had to take one to know one. He just trying to. I don't know. He probably somebody that's already picture be trolling. He probably somebody that's already. You know what I'm saying? And picture me trolling. He can attest to what I'm saying. Get in where you. He can attest to what I'm saying. Yeah, I used to want to get triggered. If I'm a I'm living. I used to want to get triggered. I used to turn on the stream just to get triggered. Does that sound like anybody picturing me trolling in the whole playroom? I mean, let's keep it real. Why do people turn this thing on? Enough of this nice guy stuff. Let's get triggered today. Or am I the only one going to be honest about it and know who I am? Am I the only one that's going to be able to keep it real in this Joker? If you know that there are people going to come and trigger you, why would you get triggered? Unless you want to be triggered. Huh? You get what I'm saying with that? Who? Oh, that ain't meant that Jilla. She ain't. She wouldn't talk like that, and she probably wouldn't come in here. Cause she's a lady. She'll get her point across, but she ain't like that. The worse she gets, she might call you a whole bunch of niggas, but that's it. She don't. And y'all wrong. And y'all wrong, wrong, wrong. But she ain't a racist. She's been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. She doesn't have she can't be a racist. She doesn't have enough to be a racist. She has enough. She has enough wisdom and knowledge to know who's treating her and how they're treating her. And it sometimes it lashes out at being everybody, and it's not everybody. And I know how she feels. Hello? Watching the Cowboys and streaming. What you doing? Yeah, come on. I, yeah, I know. She been worrying me to death. Yeah, that's why I told you. Yeah, just come on. Shit. All right, baby. Tell Papa get ready to work. I know. Tell her to get ready to work. All right. Yeah, if I'm a crackhead, if you want me to be a crackhead, but I know what I do. And if I'm a crackhead and I got this kind of lifestyle, I smoke crack all the time, then you in big trouble. Because what if I ain't? What if I ain't on crack? What if I got a think tank full of killers and you don't even know? I don't care what Jilla do. That ain't my concern. I know his family is in order because they still together, they still there. And they ain't really did no just straight up goofy shit on here that would completely degrade the whole family. And I know why they feel the way they feel. It's just, am I gonna give it that power? But if you want me to be a crackhead, everybody wants me to be a crackhead because that's an easy way of degrading somebody. That's an easy way of saying canceling out a person's whole being. Like I say, some things are jokes. And like I say, I'll be around and people just be lying, running game, probably because crackheads have raised them. A lot of people on here. You can clearly tell there's an imbalance. They couldn't begin to even step into the form of think tanks that I've been in. And I'm a crackhead. If you haven't been here, if anybody else has been here, you would see the form and think tanks that I stepped in. They wouldn't even know where to begin. Because mine made up. And I'm saying people. I don't care where you from, if you're from the UK, China, Panama, El Salvador. Who else been in here? North South Africa. She from South Africa. Where else she was streaming from? Portugal. Spain. The South Americas. All have one thing in common. I don't know if I look like a crackhead. Depending on who raised you. It depends on how you feel about your own circumstances. A lot of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't. I like Dr. Bay just blessed me with. You got the right to choose. Don't let nobody make you. And if if I want to argue with him, I would choose to do so. That's why I said when a lot of people, when we turn on these damn cameras, we already ready to be triggered. That's what we turned it on for. We having a bad day. Or we feel like fucking around. But to me, it's more of I feel like fucking around. I ain't had no bad days, man. It's been a while since I had some, because I know what bad days are. It's been a while since I had some bad days. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I've been pissed off here lately. Shit, motherfucker walked in my backyard, stole my goddamn lawnmower. Pissed off about that. My mama gave me that lawnmower, for real. It had more sentiment about it than I used it. I mean, I had the lawnmower and would pay people to mow the yard. Because I just don't fucking feel like it. You know, I could complain about people at work, but it's people at work. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is working. The harder my job gets, the longer the day is. And to shorten up the day, I think I listen to books and I just do whatever I have to do. But, and I don't care. I don't carry it anymore. Because it's easy. It's not that I don't have feelings. I just feel that way, and then I say, oh, and then I say life goes on, and then I, you know, I can't be erased because I'm not in competition with nobody. I'm in think tanks because these guys that have had 4 years and 25 years, that's 65 years of experience, are helping me know exactly what it is and get me on the track. You get where I'm coming from with that? They get me on the track. So I love it right now. I gotta use the restroom. Give me 30 seconds, fellas. 30 seconds. I might be smoking crack, talking, and peeing all at the same time. You gonna hear it though. It's hard to be in a race when you understand. If you, yeah, but nobody's white. But I understand where she's coming from. It's a systematic torture. I understand where she's coming from and why she feels that way. Look at me. I mean, you'd have a better argument with somebody that didn't look like me, brother. I get it. It's just that I don't choose to react to it like that. Because my reaction is what I'm accountable for. I can't be accountable for their reaction to how they feel. That's beating a dead horse. Because I'm not them. I haven't been through their life experiences. Every behavior is learned behavior. So they got it from somewhere. And I'm not even going to say it's a malfunction. I'm just going to say that's a choice. Especially when you know right from wrong. If you know right from wrong, then shit, just what's the problem? And that's something you're born with. Did you know that you can't commit a crime unless there's a party involved, another party involved? Do you understand that part of the law or legalities and how you could assume that position? No, it's precaution. It's precaution because of some of the things that have been taught and some of the ways people have been treated. I'm gonna tell you now, you ain't got shit without empathy. If you can't understand why a person might feel a certain way, God bless he don't show you. It ain't that I gotta put her shoes on, it's that I wore my own shoes, and sometimes you assume just like they assume when they see you. Like, come on, man. Somebody just called me a crackhead. So you want me to assume that all people ain't like that? All people. I've been called crackhead by all people. All people ain't like that. You want me to not be weary of how people are? It ain't been one person or two people. It started out as a group of people, and that when they got mad at me, that was their joke, and I didn't like the joke because I knew that it was jealousy. It wasn't anything but that. Because I wouldn't degrade you. If I tell a joke, I'm gonna tell a joke. But I'm gonna tell you what the joke ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna be degrading. So what race do you have to be in order to be little person? Or to show a hidden agenda as you getting too big, you might be too smart, somebody might learn something. I gotta take you down. What race you gotta be for that? Because everybody fell in line. Let's just be honest. Everybody fell in line. Every single person fell in line. That's why ain't nobody in here now. So what? Let me put it again, because I'm not in competition with nobody. I know who I am. I know who I am. I don't need to compete with you. That part is over. But I knew it was a competition when I became a crackhead. The crackhead of playgroup. With all the funny bunny shit that go on, I might get drunk, smoke some weed, talk some big shit. You ain't never seen crack around. I didn't even know motherfuckers still sold crack. I thought motherfuckers had moved on. Man, I'm telling you, you doing some shit for 10, 15, 20 years, 10 years, and you got to be on the same level. Get up, dog. You ain't doing something right. I understand slow progress is better than no progress, but goddamn, man, you can put your energy into something else. Can you dig it? You can't pop your head like this right here. And I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just keeping it on the real. Everybody fell in line. So everybody that say that they a leader is really a follower. But in order to be a real good leader, you got to be an even better follower, right? Just what are you gonna follow? I don't care if he racist or not, but he might be racist to you. We done said some stuff about each other, but I'm not racing him. He taking care of his family the way he see fit. I'm taking care of my family the way I see fit. I don't see the bad in that. But like I say, that's me. I don't I'm not in a race with anybody, so I can't agree with something that I don't even partake in. See, in order to be a racist, I have to be racing somebody. A race ain't nothing but a competition. What I mean, don't change the word because you put IST on the end. A racist is a person who likes competition. Just like a scientist is a person who likes science. Just like a pianist is somebody who likes to play the piano. A botanist, somebody who likes to grow plants. You can't. And if you're out there racing people, and the ultimate prize for everybody is death, what are you doing? What are you doing? And what are you getting out of the race? What is the race doing for you? If you really could be racist, I know you've seen enough. My feelings be hurt too. But if you could really be racist, what would you do to secure your race? Remember, you got to secure your race to make sure your race doesn't die. Tell you what race controls time. But they look like my grandchildren. Get out. All right, baby. Bye-bye. Sister on my way. Your sister on our way. But for real, what would you really do if you were racist? If you like racing? I think you don't like the fact that she expresses the way she feels by the way she's being treated. and by things that she's seen and had to witness via TV, via schoolhouse. That's what I think. You don't like her point of view. But instead of you saying that and showing yourself, you just discredit her. That's what I think. So therefore, you're in competition with her. You're in competition with a girl with a husband. Am I fucking missing something here? I mean, what are you really gonna do? Take care of your family better than her? Make better music than Jilla? Um, what do you win? And then when you do all these things, what do you get out of it? Satisfaction? I mean, you don't have anything inward or close to you that gives you satisfaction. Other than beating her at whatever you guys are racing for. I can't talk to her. She not in here, but I'll talk to you for a minute. I can't talk to her. She not in here. I'm talking to you for a minute. What are you getting out of beating a girl with a husband in the race? That's what I said. Are you gonna take care of your family better than her, or the way you feel is better than her? Are you gonna make better decisions than her? What exactly do you win for being a racist? If she's racist and you, if we're racist, what do I get? Because I'm not finna race with you for nothing. I don't. There's no way we're gambling if there's no wager. If I don't put up some money and you don't put up some money, and we're racing, like say we going down the street, we gonna race our cars. If I'm gonna put up some money and you gonna put up some money, what are we doing? Just driving fast against each other for pride? I'm not into wasting my time. There has to be some kind of immediate gain for me if I'm gonna be in the race. I got to know what I get. Whereas I'm just exalted energy, I could be doing something else. You dig where I'm coming from? You can't bob your head like this right here. You know what I'm saying, Vern? Didn't think you did. I gotta post something to Facebook. Ooh, I'm glad these Cowboys wasn't the ones that played last week. So y'all probably want to hear it, huh? We can hear the game.
Make your back end secondary susceptible. A big quick throw lands.
CD Lamb.
Great screen, and then got tackled from behind by Fowler, but not before he picked up a first down. Lamb's had a big first half. It's already his 5th catch, and he's up to 85 yards. You just have so many guys to kind of hit you, and you were talking about DPs. The dilemma he has coming into a game like this, and now finding himself down so early, you don't want to overcommit and just start loading the box and saying, all right, we're not going to let him run down our throat. Because we don't really feel like we have the guys in the back end to just go toe-to-toe and match up for that man-to-man or one-on-one. So he's got to continue to mix his looks, continue to mix his pre- and post-snap coverages. Prescott fires a strike to to Gallup on the slant. Boy, Prescott is on target here today as Terrell on the coverage, but not before Gallup got 9 more. See if they will let this go down to the 2-minute warning. Prescott now 16 of 21, 195 yards. It's 120 rating. First down inside the 12. 2 minute warning, and the Cowboys, man, are they feeling good. 21-3, and they're looking for more.
The more we do with our phones, the more network quality and reliability matter. And only Verizon's been the most awarded for network quality 27 times in a row. That means the best experience with calls, texts, and data usage of any major carrier, according to customers. There's only one best network. The only one ranked number one.
Back, let me throw these clothes in the dryer. They're being washed.
5G Lite, the
It's
official
Sunday. We gotta get ready for
of the
Monday.
NFL.
Fresh flavors, classic dishes, and a new seat at the table.
Ordinary tissues burn when Theo blows. So Dad bought Puffs Plus lotion and rescued his nose. With up to 50% more lotion, Puffs brings soothing softness and relief. A nose in need deserves Puffs indeed.
It's the Black Friday sale at Kay. Get 25 to 50% off everything. Find gifts they'll love. At savings you'll love. Celebrate every kiss with Kay.
Oh, Bud Light Seltzer Retro Tide.
Have you tried these yet? Bud Light Seltzer Retro Tana, the loudest flavors ever.
I remember the extra ranch.
Good. How'd everything else go?
What else?
Picking our child up?
Cool. I will be right back.
You know you want that soft and tossed Wingstop, and now try it on crispy thighs. USAA presents this Salute to Service moment.
From supersonic F-16 fighters to combat Blackhawks, the roar of a military flyover is the highlight of NFL pregame activities. These powerful and awe-inspiring displays represent an aerial salute to military members past and present. To all who have served, the NFL and USAA say thank you. See how USAA honors and protects our military at salutetoservice.com.
Dak Prescott's been terrific this afternoon. He's completed passes to 7 different receivers. Cowboys basically doing what they want on offense. 1:57 to go in the half. Pollard in the game now at tailback. On first down, they'll give it to him. Pollard tries to stretch out right. Falcons are ready for it that time. As Brandon Copeland was there first. He's the one that really blew the play up. And you got some dancing footballs here at Arlington.
These guys are feeling pretty good.
I kind of like it. I'm just killing it. You know why not?
I should be there, man. I should be there.
But I'm not comparing it necessarily to last year, but the Cowboys were down 20 in last year's game. Now they're up 18. Now they change the play. Elliott comes back in the backfield. Time of possession dominated by Dallas. Elliott has it. Starter step up the middle. And then Avery Williams came up, the rookie from the corner spot, to make a tackle. We've got a timeout. Why don't we check in with Kurt Menefee?
Coming up on the Verizon Halftime, we'll take you through all of today's early action, including the Saints taking on Tennessee. What's going on back there?
Don't worry, Kurt. I have you ready for halftime. Having a little problem with my balancing on my boom thing. Watch my doodle.
It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime. Maybe a translation, too.
Well, that's why we talk and don't touch anything, because we would mess it up. Are you kidding?
That was awesome.
Very good. 3rd and 7, 1:15 to go. Falcons use that timeout there. So look, I ideal scenario for them, they hold to a field goal and go down and get some kind of score.
And then they get the ball coming out, right? So they're going to try to steal the
Yeah, when I was young, I had an album. They come and go. They come and go. I don't know if he, no, I don't think I ain't saying that. That man knows some stuff. He got a family that they doing all right. They still streaming and stuff, I guess. Cause y'all mentioning their name.
He's going to just retreat and he's going to just throw it to a spot, put air under it. He knows exactly where CeeDee Lamb's coming out. That's just high-level passing offense in the NFL.
I mean, you could not place it any better under pressure.
Can you dig it? I don't think you're too stupid if you can do that. That's just me, though.
One that plays for home. Everyone's home. Whether you're rookie,
I say that's me. That ain't nobody else.
we can help you tackle any project. We're the Lowe's Home Team. Anyone can be on it. Are you in?
Yeah, but I don't know if you gotta do stuff or not. Man, this weed is kind of good. I kind of want to smoke it out of it. Get some pure.
And it's been utter domination. But just think how this game started. It was 7-3. Atlanta was on the drive. They had a 4th and 7, and they opted not to take a field goal. They go for it. And since then, it's been a disaster for them.
Yes, I'm sure someone somewhere is looking at the analytics and the win percentage change, but
that's stupid.
Look at it's man, right across the board. We're going to have a free hitter, but watch what Dak does. He's going to retreat, and then at the last second, he's going to just throw to his spot. CeeDee Lamb's not even out of his break yet, but he knows where he's going to go against that coverage.
But I don't know if you got he doing stuff. I mean, ain't nobody hurting. If you streaming, ain't nobody hurting.
That's just too good.
I mean, that's like Steph Curry.
I mean, hey. You know, that's just respect. If you got a video game, and all that, you playing the game and talking whatever talk you want to talk, doing whatever you want to do, man, you all right. If you ask me, I had to stuff my bowls. Stuff the bowls.
But nonetheless, you mentioned in the open, he's got to be the front runner for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, he is just a special player. What they can do with him, lining him up off the ball in a traditional linebacker role, then putting his hand on the ground in 2-minute drives, crushing the passer. They got himself a special player, number 11.
I just think about last week. Last week, Dallas couldn't have looked worse. Denver shut. It was 30-0. They're losing the 4th quarter. Last week, Atlanta had the best win they've had in 3 years at New Orleans, and it's completely the opposite here today. The way these teams are playing. Week to week in the NFL, you just never know. Ryan over the middle into triple coverage, and it's incomplete for Zacchaeus. Anthony Brown and it seemed like
they gonna let the Cowboys go 3 more before it's over.
Dallas has a chance to get it back here with 50 seconds left and 2 timeouts. That's a crazy thing.
It's some good bud. I knew it too. I've been flooding the cigar already. It's all right. I should be. Well, shit, it might be a little more stronger because you know you put on when you get the end of the blunt, all the tar from the front. You can put that in. you can put a long enough rope, just stuff the bowl and roll. You know what I'm saying?
They need a huge punt here. They need to get a stop. If they give up points here before the half.
They take their second time out. As we remind you to start Saturday strong. Big noon kickoff pregame live from Norman, Oklahoma at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then Caleb Williams in Oklahoma look to bounce back against Iowa State. Big noon Saturday game of the week, followed by the biggest crosstown rivalry in college football. UCLA and USC all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. There's CeeDee Lamb back to return. Why not?
There's kind of a dual philosophy as far as putting one of your premier players back at punt returner. A lot of people, and obviously Dallas feels this way, you're getting one of your best, most dynamic playmakers with the ball against what's typically tight ends, backup linebackers, and get him the ball in space.
Oh shit, they blocked it. The Cowboys got a touchdown out of that. Golly. Woo, I'm glad this wasn't the Cowboys we played last week when I was in the building. Golly.
I never saw a touchdown signal, even though he came out of it in the end zone. It was certainly close. Rashad Wright. Boy, what a difference. I mean, think about
He's keeping that ball.
Wright got his hand on it, passed the line of scrimmage, and Denver recovered.
Sometimes you just have those days. That was them last week, and now on the complete opposite side, they are having themselves a day. Look at that big right arm. On the block point, does a nice job avoiding by Dorrance Armstrong.
Yeah, they're saying
It just becomes a wrestling match in the end zone for the ball.
He got that joke.
the score. I mean, unbelievable. They hit one last week with Diggs. It goes past the line. Wright hits it. Denver recovers. Change the whole trajectory of the game. This time, Michael Wright recovers for a touchdown, and we get a penalty. And by the way, it's
that's why I said they're going to let 35-3 first half.
Wow is right.
Prior to the snap, 12 men on the field against the defense. Dallas has elected to take the ball and go for 2 points, 2 to the 1. 2-point conversion.
Dallas smells blood in the water right now, Kevin. You see Armstrong block the punt again. They are not taking their foot off the gas. They could easily just kick a field goal and go up 35-3. But nope. They're going to elect to take the penalty here. Elect to go for 2 and just try to make a knockout shot if they haven't already. Wow.
Well, I think the uppercuts were landing.
Remember, they landed a few.
Remember Pam Oliver started the broadcast saying that Dak Prescott said, you know, I'm that 16 win streak. Well, they treated it up, a punch to the face. Well, they've delivered a punch to the face.
Sure did. They hit him right in their mouth. Bends in. 36-3.
This is like you're playing Madden on easy and things are just going really right for you. It's 36-3. You don't see that in an NFL game in the first half of football.
Dang.
This is one of those games where you're playing Madden when all of a sudden you hope if you hit the wrong button, like the control turns off or like the console turns off, player 1 has exited the game. That's kind of what you're hoping happens here. Wow. Talk about a tale of 2 weeks.
For real, for real. All I can say is go Broncos.
Their worst performance of the year by far, and how they responded, well, look at the score. And the Falcons coming off their best win in years, really. Down in New Orleans, tough place to play, and they're feeling really good about themselves. And the way this game started, 7-3 Cowboys, Falcons on the move. I'm not saying that Dallas would be winning right now, Greg, but the momentum definitely changed when they went on 4th and 7 and didn't get it.
It did. And regardless of what the stats say, regardless of what the numbers say, that changed the game right there. So they make it 7-6, or at least attempting to make it 7-6. It goes 14-3, and then the floodgates have just opened.
It's color rush day.
4th and 7. It would have been a 49-yard field goal for Koo. Ryan had trouble finding one, and then Jordan Lewis, nice play, knocking it away. Since this is what they've done. Dallas done? They put up 265 yards of offense, a punt block for a touchdown, and they're up 33 points. With 37 seconds to go in the half. Ballman again. Falcons
Dang.
backwards. Thatcher was there.
Dallas is not even good. They're not even close to conceding this half. They just took another timeout. Have another one remaining.
I think that's Dan Quinn's feels right about now.
They running us go up.
So, you talked about the tough week that Dallas had last week, but then on the contrary, Atlanta had a great week. We talked all week.
Oh,
They're
wow.
They're 4-4. They've won 4 of the last 6 games. They've been playing so much better. This has to be very disappointing for Arthur Smith. I mean, talking to Arthur Smith, you can see he's a really intelligent guy. He understands building a franchise, building an organization. He knew what he inherited. There was a little bit of a build-back idea, but I don't think anyone expected this coming off their big win last week.
Team can run and just hope that the half comes. In reality, you see Cowboys flying on the ball. You don't expect any NFL team to be up by 33 at the half against another NFL team. You just don't see it. I mean, it's what a response. Mike McCarthy has these guys ready to play. And Arthur Smith, Falcons playing well. Remember, they were 4-2 their last 6, but they are getting absolutely waxed here in Arlington today. First half stats brought to you by State Farm. Dak Prescott back to being old. Dak Prescott after last week, rusty, sharp today. Matt Ryan off to a good start, but then the offense has gone quiet against this Dallas defense. It's all CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, and a rousing Cowboys first half up by 33. Verizon halftime show. Turn the guys up next.
Let me see if I should gamble. I might as well. I need to hit. I got to have it today, DraftKings.
It's time to get holiday ready with Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks. Or with Ford Explorer, America's all-time best-selling SUV. And come home in a Ford Bronco Sport. That's how you get holiday ready. Get a Ford F-150 with 0 for 60 and 500 retail bonus cash, plus complimentary maintenance when you sign up for Ford Pass Rewards. See your Ford dealer today.
Hope I got it in there.
It's time to find your next Chevy truck and forge ahead. Take on new challenges and take it to the next level. It's the perfect time to do more in your next Chevy. Find new possibilities, find new roads. Very well qualified buyers can get 2.49% financing and $1,250 total value on this Silverado Texas edition. Plus, unlock your code to claim $500 Chevy Cyber Cash on most Silverado 1500 Crew Cab pickups.
The excitement, the action, the romance. Bring it all home on a big screen. NFM has a huge in-stock selection at legendary low prices, including up to $1,800 off suggested retail on select Samsung TVs. Get free delivery and basic setup on qualifying TVs, or use same-day drive-through pickup. Plus, take $100 off with an NFM Smart Home Services installation. Get it all now with 24-month financing. The right time, the right price, right here at NFM.
Oh, all right.
Welcome to the Verizon Halftime, the official 5G network of the NFL.
On the pregame, Howie Mason said, don't worry, last week was just a blip by the Cowboys. Looks like you were right so far here in this first half, as we welcome you to the Verizon Halftime. How about this one going on in Washington?
All right.
right, Taylor Heineke, we asked, is he answering quarterback? I said no, but boy, he's proven me wrong. Beautiful throw to DeAndre Carter on a 20-yard corner route. Laid it right in there, 13-0. It is Washington. Chase Young goes down on this play, injuring his right knee, but it's very impressive what has happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 weeks in a row. No offense, 16-6. Washington on top of Tampa Bay. Lions at the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger out. He's on the COVID list, so in comes Mason Rudolph. Single back set, fires, wide open to the sideline is James Washington. A 9-yard touchdown score. We're tied up with the Lions. Steelers, that is, 10 apiece. Moving right along to the Browns at the Patriots. Mac Jones, New England's first-round draft pick, quarterback out of Alabama. Down the middle, he finds Kendrick Bourne. Bourne gets between the safeties, the tight coverage, but he goes up and makes the catch anyway. A 23-yarder. Jones, 2 touchdown passes in the first half. 24-7, New England. Ryan Tannehill, quarterback of Tennessee, puts it in from 1 yard out. 13-6. Tennessee Titans on top of the visiting New Orleans Saints. Fields up to Jets. Josh Allen setting up, empty back set, lays it out there, man-to-man coverage, fade route. Nice ball. Nice, really nice ball. Stephon Diggs for a 12-yard touchdown. 17-3 now. Bills on top of the Jets, and the Jaguars are at the Colts. Logan Cook punt is blocked. There it is right there. E.J. Speed scoops it up right there. E.J. takes it in from 12 yards out. 20-6 now. Colts on top of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, look, there's another 2 quarters to play, but right now, the Cowboys have scored the most points they've ever scored in the first half under Mike McCarthy in his year-and-a-half tenure. So, Howie, you got to be...
Oh, shoot, I got to bring the game back on, don't I? Let me. Shit, what was that? Let me get the game back on.
Was against the all-out blitz. Nobody picked the blitzer up. It was between Prescott and the blitz guy. Anticipated beautifully.
What a difference.
1 week.
Last week to this week.
Last
CD Lamb had a great
last
time.
week he wasn't comfortable. He wasn't rushing things.
Lamb's got the 2 touchdowns, receiving 94 yards. And then on the sideline, even had time to look at that giant screen they've got there and celebrate himself celebrating. Not a bad move. Great smile for that kid. And a great performance for the Cowboys in the first half. They're up by 33 points in the first half. 2 more quarters to go. The Atlanta Falcons, maybe they can come back and get them ready for Thursday Night Football. Maybe. I mean, Thursday night, they'll be hosting New England. So if they don't win today, they'll have another chance in the next couple days.
Got to sell it, Kurt.
We're trying here. Hey, nothing has gone Atlanta's way in the first half, including the block punt for the touchdown Verizon play of the first half, which has been all Dallas so far.
Verizon has been named the best network in America for the 7th year in a row, proving once again that there's only one best network.
We are the first family of country music. We built a dynasty.
Wait on picking that on right now.
We do what has to be done to protect the family. Country folks can survive. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, baby.
Our system
sisterhood is sacred, but few are chosen.
I would be honored to be in this sisterhood.
The premiere of Our Kind of People has arrived, and you can watch anytime.
We're obsessed with getting in with these people. That woman is a disruptor. Gotta secure the crown.
Our Kind of People, Tuesdays on Fox, or watch anytime on Fox Now and Hulu.
Don't miss The Masked Singer, all new Wednesdays at 8/7 Central on Fox.
This is the story of an athlete.
My name is Bart Salgado, and I played football since I was a kid.
This is a story of resilience.
After multiple tours of duty overseas, I returned home and was injured.
This is the story of a leader.
Now, through the NFL's partnership with the Bob Woodward Foundation, I play and coach other veterans in Move United's Wheelchair Football League.
The NFL is proud to partner with organizations.
Just watching the game. We got a good sermon from Dr. Baker today. And just watching the game. Might play me some golf. I need to probably start getting dressed here in a minute. Yeah, I seen that. Uh-oh. My baby girl. Hello? No, we going to your grandma's. It's your grandma's birthday. About 2 or 3. We can ride out. We can all ride together. Where you at? Oh, okay. No, yeah, you all right. Yeah, your grandma's birthday today. She turned 98. Yeah, I think Chris coming out here too. He got to bring my wallet. He said he coming. Oh, you haven't? All right. All right. All right. Y'all all right? Oh, let me turn it off. Let me turn it on. No, my daughter called.
From what was an awful performance, whatever balance he struck was perfect because not only have they bounced back to play well, I mean, this is a historically good first half. I mean, 36 points at halftime. So whatever Mike McCarthy's message was all week, these Cowboys players heard it, they took it to heart, and the proof is on the field.
Yeah, and Atlanta will get the ball first. Cowboys won the toss and took the ball to start. And so see the Falcons start building any kind of momentum. Let's go down to the field with Pam Oliver.
I asked Arthur Smith what he trusts the most about his team somehow battling back in this game. He said, I expect to see a lot of fight. That first half, he said, was embarrassing. And he said, it started with me, that 4th and 7. He doesn't regret it. He says, I was trying to get something going, given what the Cowboys can do on offense. Mike McCarthy is fond of saying, don't blink. He told me at half that pertains to finishing the game. And he also said that we're not going to let up. He does not want this dominant swing.
Well, so far, good start for Dallas as a throw intended for Gage is incomplete. And I hear what Pam's saying, right? You're going to be convicted of your Arthur Smith.
Cowboys winning big. I'm just waiting on my Broncos to play. Should I gamble on my Broncos?
Since that field
See what it look like.
since the 4th and 7 where they didn't go for it, Atlanta has negative 17 in net yards.
Yeah, the game completely flipped upside down from that point on. And, you know, would the score be quite as out of reach? Would they still be losing if they had 6 points first 3? Probably.
There's Pitts who got off to that great start. And now comes to the near side. He's going to
might
get
wait
about 8
till
yards.
tomorrow.
Pitts had a few catches early. 3 for 52 the first 2 drives, and that's his first since then.
You know, I think the biggest thing, you heard Pam reference it when she talked to Arthur Smith at the half. This score is out of reach, right? It appears, barring some historic comeback here. But if you're Arthur Smith, you're implementing your system, your culture, you're trying to turn this Atlanta organization into your identity. This half is important. You're going to learn a lot about your team down 33 and find out what guys have bought in, what guys are here to continue to fight. He's watching this half probably more than anything all season.
32. Pressure. And it's dropped. Perfect pass by Matt Ryan right in the hands of Davis on the slant. And he dropped it, and they'll have to punt.
They got what they wanted. You know, they had 2 running backs in the field. They had Pitts, the tight end, and then they spread out to empty. And Davis just hit him right in the chest. You know, Cordero Patterson's on the sideline. You don't know whether that's just rotation or whether that's the ankle. It's hard to say, but they got the look they wanted, got the matchup, just dropped.
So now Dustin Colquitt, 17-year veteran, will punt it away. Lamb back deep. 2-touchdown first half for CeeDee Lamb. Flag is down. Takes a great Falcon bounce. And all the way, look at this. Still rolling inside the 5. What a punt by Colquitt. They're going to down it inside the 1. And there is a penalty, though. Let's see what this is first.
I think they're going to get the long snapper, Josh Harris, on holding. He got run over, and he just pulled the Cowboy player onto his chest. Let's see if that's what they call.
There's no foul on the play as the action in question is legal.
Okay, here you go.
Timeout.
And so, with no foul, it's a 66-yard punt by Colquitt. Well done. And the Cowboys, after this drop, which would have been a first down, Falcons trying to figure anything out. Cowboys football big here in the 3rd.
Someone's not doing their job. Okay, let's keep going. Shopping for the game can be a minefield for young homeowners who have turned into their parents.
Can you believe how many different types of water they have in this aisle? Kim, did you just change blades back there? This is perfect.
Jack Pack, variety pack. Remember, it's a football game, not a play day.
Roger that. One more slice.
It can be a lot.
Oh, good, the manager. Brian and produce, very helpful.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
Pulls to the left a little bit.
Shop our holiday best deals at Target. Get great deals on select Quip toothbrushes, Disney Kids gifts, TVs, and more. This week only at Target.
Another crown?
I just have a water this round, please.
Take a water break and moderate your drinking on game day.
We're getting this story out there. We need a plan.
I have a plan. Right now, at T-Mobile, customers on Magenta Max can get the new iPhone 13 Pro, and T-Mobile will pay for it. It has the most advanced iPhone camera ever. I'm talking new customers. I'm talking existing customers like Ronald.
The new iPhone on T-Mobile. Let's do it!
New and existing customers can upgrade to the iPhone 13 Pro on us on our most popular plan, Magenta Max.
Do we have a plan for the second half?
Nah, we're gonna get cream.
We'll be on T-Mobile.
This crazy suit gonna give me an edge?
Oh, yeah. Huge edge.
Invisibility gives Aaron Donald an edge on his game.
Who hit me?
Just like a verified approval gives you an edge on your offer.
I did.
When you need a competitive edge in the housing game, Rocket can.
Every time I eat stuffed crust from Pizza Hut, I play this song. But watch what happens when I play it backwards.
Eat stuffed crust backwards at just $12.99.
The original stuffed crust, only from Pizza Hut. No one out pizzas the Hut.
This app is about to change the way you think about weather. Welcome to a new world that will blow your mind. Download now at foxweather.com.
Today's game is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, and motorcycle insurance.
Amazing the difference a week makes in the NFL. Last week, all season lows. A lot of those yards came in garbage time. Last 6 minutes left, they're down 30. Today, they're up 33, and it's season highs, the most points and a half in the NFL this year. And they start on the one.
Offense for 78. That was half the distance to the goal. Still first down.
So the good news is they can't really move back. I mean, give it, what, 5 inches? If you're going to have a false start, that's the place to have it.
And you know you're going on the hard count. I bet you they do it again.
Pollard in early into the game, and Prescott's just trying to get some semblance of room here.
Yeah.
You know, we said going into this break, Craig.
But you couldn't put your foot well.
NFL game in the first half, right?
Who gonna block you? No, this a whole nother channel. This is a whole nother channel. I've been erasing channels like a motherfucker. Every time they block one of my videos, I erase the whole channel and start over. Fuck it. You still pissed off? I still got control of you like that? Hey, if you ever come to Temple, Texas, just stop by my hookah lounge. 1010 West Avenue G, Temple, Texas, Blue Velvet Lounge. You still kicking, buddy?
Fast, and we're learning to adjust just like the players.
Oh, man, Ross Prescott just a little behind Gallup there. And the fans growing because everything's been going so well, but the Falcons will force a punt.
Yeah, it's probably the first mistake they've made. You said it, the ball's a little behind them, but
yeah, I'm back on my information and shit. I can't let niggas trigger me and get me mad no more. That shit old news. I'm having too much fun, man. I just came from Dallas Cowboy Stadium, watched my Bronco kick that ass last week. Did my nice little IG stream, have my homeboy in there with me. Live from Cowboy Stadium. We had fun.
I was going to say, the only good thing about broadcasting for you...
My grandma turned 98 today. I'm still fly. That's mandatory.
15, that's Felipe Franks, the third-string quarterback. All right, well, today anything goes, apparently. Falcons football, now 33.
When you're driving alone, stress seems to evaporate in your floor, which leaves us to wonder, does it get tangled up in knots? Or fall victim to gravity? Or maybe it winds up somewhere over the Bermuda Triangle. Perhaps you'll come up with your own theory of where the stress goes. Behind the wheel of
Doing a little gambling.
Fine place to start.
I'm gonna pick another lineup this time. I'm gonna go with Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Hurts, Teddy Bridgewater, Devontae Smith.
Quarter pound king in the 2 for $6, only at BK.
It's a good day to start something new.
Where that dude? Watkins.
To brush away gray in 5 easy minutes. To put yourself out there and always put your best face forward. Just for men, mustache, and beard.
And Hinton. Dang, 3703. Hinton and Dallas Goddard. Shoot, I can't get him at 61. Hinton and no fan.
Cases of anxiety in young adults are rising as experts warn of the effects on well-being caused by the pandemic.
He said he finally unblocked. Got to give me some coffee, fellas.
Woody Harrelson, John Goodman, Pete Davidson, and Tiffany Haddish star in the dopest animated series, If You Get My Meaning. The Freak Brothers, now streaming free on Tubi.
Today's game is sponsored by Lincoln and the power of Sanctuary.
Talk about Felipe Franks. Look at the top of the screen. Tony Pollard kind of cuts him. And Felipe Franks doesn't really take a liking to it. That was the penalty that they called. But
well, here's another one. Here. You know what's amazing? Felipe Franks.
Offense, number 76. 5-yard penalty. First down.
5-yard penalty, first down.
Out of Arkansas. He's played a couple
They've already hit in here. They've already hit in here. How them San Francisco, how them 49 are doing?
He's lined up at tight end a couple times this year. How many third-string quarterbacks are playing special?
They all hurt. They beat the fuck up.
Taysom Hill down to New Orleans. Right. Go back when they had Breeze, and he was kind of that third stringer when they had Jameis. But there's not many guys that can play in that sort of role. We had a guy, Joe Webb, with Carolina a few years ago.
Very similar there as Bowman gets the carry out across the 25. Got to pick up 6.
Yeah, Joe was always the emergency third stringer when we had Cam and Derek Anderson. But then Joe would be running down on kickoff. He was like the hype man. They put him in for some trick wide receiver plays. It's kind of a similar athlete. It's kind of a similar style to what they're trying to get out of Felipe Franks, figuring out what they have in the young.
And Franks is huge.
I saw him on the field before the game. You told me he was a defensive end. I would believe you.
He's 6'6", 230. Flying with some pressure. They're going to float it to the sideline, and it's caught. Nice comeback there by Zacchaeus, who came back to get it, and has a first down for the Falcons.
You know, you see Atlanta here going hurry up. Of course, the rest of this game, in essence, is just one long 2-minute drill. But they have to be a little careful with their play call. You don't want to just let Dallas know for the next 2 quarters we're just going to drop back and get Matt Ryan, killed here. You got to still mix in the run, keep this defense guessing a little bit, or else it just becomes a race to the quarterback.
Ballman gets it left side, and Armstrong takes it down. Game break time. Let's go back to Carissa Thompson.
Thanksgiving line Steelers tied at 10. Opening drive in the second half. Godwin Igwebuike takes this one all the way. 42 yards. His first career rushing touchdown. Steelers out of the field goal. 16-13 in Pittsburgh.
16-13 in Pittsburgh.
You almost feel like they're so overdue, right? That's so many close games. Dave Campbell trying to get one. Ballman's wide open. He's got a first down, racing into Dallas territory. And inside the 40. So Wayne Gallman getting some reps here. Cordero Patterson, we showed you taping the ankle earlier. Not sure if it's that or because of the score.
You're going to see Gallman. They're going to just give him a little token fake out of the 2-back play action. And Dallas is just going to drop him. You're going to see him here. He's going to get a little edge pressure. Just kind of trickle into the flat. Sometimes short throws turn into long runs. So that was there.
Pam Oliver has asked nothing wrong with Patterson. That makes sense just to give him a rest here. And so Gallman getting his first real look of the year. He's been inactive 4 times. It's it again. Gallman breaks through a tackle inside the 35. Greg, he had a really good stretch with the Giants last year. He's cutting the 49ers camp this year. But with New York last year, he broke out with Saquon out. He had a 135-yard rushing game against against Seattle. He ran for 682 yards. So he showed a little something last year, but he hasn't had any opportunities here this year with Atlanta at all. On the fake, Ryan looks his way, and there was nothing there as Parsons came over to cover. But I wonder in the second half, when you're looking for something, can he make some sort of audition for himself to get more carries going forward?
I think he can, and I think that's why to start this second half, we said this is such a huge evaluation, second half game for Arthur Smith and this coaching staff. There's going to be a handful of guys that they're going to be keeping a close eye. Gallman being one of them. He's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. Pereira's played so well. Mike Davis is a good running back. He's going to get his opportunities here in the second half to show that he earned more playtime.
Third down, Ryan loads up coming near side.
Big dog. Big dog. Golly. Cowboy looking good.
Wins Dallas defense against his former team is lighting it up. The pick by Brown. Cowboys football.
Every member of my family fights this fight.
I can't change the way things are done here.
I'm not asking you to do anything. Couriers, fix-it men, what you do. Your father invented it.
Your influence within the prisons is unique.
He does a lot of good.
He will get you killed.
We need to tear that motherfucker up.
Mayor of Kingstown. New series now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
This is Antonelli's Cheese Shop.
And we're the Antonellis.
Do good, eat good.
That's our mission.
We chose our new Spark Cash Plus card from Capital One because it gives us unlimited 2% cash back on everything we buy.
And it has no preset spending limit, so our purchasing power adapts to our business needs. We use our 2% cash back to help cover our employees' healthcare costs.
That's how we take care of our most valuable asset.
Our people. It may sound cheesy,
but we like it that way.
What's in your wallet?
There's a lot that could be said about the new RDX. Could be.
You have 3 burgers. You share them, you eating all 3.
No, I'm eating them all.
You wouldn't share your burger with me.
Not this burger. The burgers you make at your house? Yeah, we can share that. That's no problem. Sonic garlic butter bacon burger.
What if I'm hungry?
Absolutely not.
I like to get up to 30% off my auto insurance with Safe Pilot.
Mr. Gronkowski, USAA is for the military community and their families. That's what makes us special.
Oh, but I'm special.
USAA, only for the military community.
It's a shame, before the end there, it's a shame you missed the first half of this damn stream.
And a new seat at the table.
That's where the meat was at the very beginning.
Bring your holiday to life with Harry and David Gourmet Gifts. Order now for Christmas delivery.
Arthur Smith, Matt Ryan just talking, trying to get some positive stuff going on offense. Anthony Brown with a terrific play. Dallas corners today. Brown, Lewis, all made some really good plays. Brown, his 3rd interception of the year. And Cowboys have it 36-3 here early in the 3rd.
Empty here, KB. We got 2 tight ends and Zeke at the top. 2 receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper at the bottom.
3-man pressure over the middle quickly and easily to Dalton Schultz, who makes the catch. And he's got himself a 15-yard gain. It's his first catch today.
And it's so soft. They bring in 2 tight ends. They call it 12 personnel. 2 tight ends, 1 back, 2 receivers. And then they just break formation and they end up in a 5 wide empty. Forces, a lot of teams have what they call empty checks, KD, where if a team breaks formation after the original alignment, they just make a check. And once they get an idea if it's a deep zone check or whatever, it makes it so easy on the quarterback to identify where to go with the ball.
On the fake. Time. Prescott gets the clear to Pollard. Makes a cut. Finding. But he's going to be wrestled down by Aluakon a little bit short. What a difference a week makes in this house. Not only just the score overall, but fourth down, Sakia gets Denver. They went for it twice here. Justin Simmons with a great play. And this one, Prescott just missed. And Denver built all that momentum onto a 30-0 lead. Today, the complete opposite. They go for it on fourth. C.D. Lamb, 21-yard catch. Then the big ball to Gallup set up a first and goal. They scored touchdowns on both of those. If anything, Mike McCarthy has remained consistent, saying he's going to keep doing it. Didn't work last week. Well, it's been great today. Pollard, Somerset, big hole inside the 35 for Pollard. Put him down at the 32. He's got 15 more.
Take a look at the tight end here, 84 Sean McEwen. Watch him, he's the tight end on the right side. Watch what he does here to the defensive end. He's going to bury him. Runs on him. I mean, that's the hole, right? Takes James Waters right to the ground. Filling in for Blake Jarwin, who's out with an injury. On a battle the last couple years has opened the door for Dalton Schultz.
Damn, Pollard gone. Flag on the play.
Pollard getting some time now.
Holding. Offense, number 52. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Connor Williams, number 52, the left guard. Tell you, they were running right behind 66. We've talked about him a lot, Connor McGovern. Bringing that jumbo in to fullback. Take a look here on the backside. Let's see Williams just kind of wrap his arms around Aluakon. That's a tough one.
Lee, that's messed up.
Came from really deep in the secondary. Nonetheless, he plays that the long game.
Does. Get it out to Lamb. Has blocked. He was ultra close to taking that thing all the way home. He gets down near the 25. Got a nice block from Michael Gallup, too.
Nice block there by Gallup. And just real alert by Dak Prescott. That's just an alert off the run. Where if he sees he likes it, he's just going to kind of spit it out there.
Shit, I thought he was
just
gone.
An extension of this run game that's been so
Nigga wasn't gone, though.
Get the ball out to your playmakers. Get the ball in space. You mentioned it. Gallup had a great block. And CeeDee Lamb is really, really dynamic with the ball in his hand.
Zeke. Fumble.
Ball that comes loose in the end. Falcons are saying they had it. They do. Falcons have the football, so let's just see.
Holding. Offense, number 52. That penalty's declined. The result of the play is first down, Atlanta.
That was well done by Richie Grant, the rookie safety, and then Moreau is the guy who recovered it. So the penalty on Dallas. Elliott, who hasn't fumbled in such a long time after all those issues last year, gives it up. And the Falcons, finally some positive for them on their recovery. 36-3 Dallas.
Shit, he ain't got the ball no more.
Is now a good time for a flare-up?
Enough, Crohn's.
For adults with moderate to severe Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, Stelara can provide relief and is the first approved medication to reduce inflammation on and below the surface of the intestine in UC.
You getting on that flight? Back off, UC.
Stelara may increase your risk of infection, some serious, and cancer. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, sores, new skin growths, have had cancer, or if you need a vaccine. PRES, a rare potentially fatal brain condition, may be possible. Some serious allergic reactions and lung inflammation can occur.
Lasting remission can start with Stelara. Janssen can help you explore cost support options.
Tonight, I'll be eating a double bacon burger with Todd. Thank you.
And I'll share it?
Guys, I'm just going to take it one Todd at a time, you know? Protect the burger, get back to fundamentals. I'm just going to eat 110%.
Warm feet, cold hands. Find the fine life, baby. What's strong with me?
What's strong with you?
What's strong with you?
What's strong with me?
My turn is done, y'all. I gotta get the shower. I gotta go to my grandma's house. It's her birthday today. I got to go see. Love y'all. But still don't know.